Orange. Thank you.
Our teams are so good this year.
I can't believe they actually made it.
Woo!
What? It's what champions eat.
Beko Harvest Fresh preserves vitamins for longer by simulating the natural 24-hour sun cycle. Beko, eat like a pro.
Have a bite. It's good.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Honor, duty, glory. These are the principles that define us. Top, jungle, mid, bot, or support. Together, we are all summoners.
Cut! Summoners don't even exist anymore.
Dynasties of the
Cut!
In the alleys, the kings of...
Dude, what's going on with you today? Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
We are EU, and this is the LEC.
Still no friends, huh?
League of what?
Why can't you do something normal?
How did you get past the login screen? You feeder!
You haven't got what it takes.
Welcome to Berlin, Germany, home of the LEC Summer Playoffs. We're closing out round 2 with a direct elimination match as Rogue and Mad Lions face off in the new battle of top teams. I'm Quickshot, joined by Kadril, and for the first time in playoffs here at the AD Jezzes. Thank you so much for joining us. Did you enjoy Fnatic versus G2 yesterday?
I enjoyed it very much. That was very exciting. I definitely expected a massive bloodbath between the two.
Well, you got what you wanted.
And we got it.
You got exactly what you wanted. Look, yesterday, G2 and Fnatic, they went back and forth. It was an extremely intense series. Some highs and some lows, though, overall. Kadril, what was your main takeaway?
Well, I mean, like Jesse said, there was so much fighting in these games. I think Jankos with the early game junglers were just forcing so much. I mean, you could argue G2 threw game 4 here and there, and it could have been a different series,
there's
but...
no argument to be right. G2 threw. It was game 3.
I mean, it was a big throw.
I mean, what was it? 20 minutes, they pushed the inhibitor, they hit 3 dragons.
Yeah, bot inhibit 18 minutes, they had 10 kills to 1, they had 3 dragons and an Ocean Soul ready to spawn. I don't know how you can throw that.
It's unbelievable. It ended up going like all the way to 5 games, and Fnatic closed it out. Jesus, how surprised were you to see like game 5, the level of tension, the level of control from both teams?
I feel like with G2 and Fnatic, you can always expect 5 games, just because they have so many players that just refuse to lose. Like, they all just, it's always just going to be like a banger of a series, and I don't know, I feel like Fnatic really stepped it up. I think against Rogue, they were kind of looking really good as a team specifically, and they looked really prepared. But against G2, I feel like some individuals were really, you know, stepped it up.
Selfmade was one of them. He got the key player of the series, and during rehearsal, you said it couldn't have been anyone else. Like, it was really strong. Why do you think it couldn't have been anyone else?
I mean, like I said, I think a lot of the Fnatic players really stepped it up, and I think specifically Reckless, Hilly, even Nemesis really just smurfed it this series. But obviously, they're fully drafting around Selfmade, and he was smurfing, obviously, so it couldn't have been anyone else.
Selfmade's consistency was crazy good.
Yeah. Absolutely was. Now, Kadril, as many of you know, has been on the analyst desk for many days in a row, so I figured I would give him a challenge. Kadril, could you break down one of the pivotal team fights as to why Fnatic were able to win?
Well, I can raise you, Trevor. I can give you 2 key points about this game. So we're going to go to Telestrator here and just break down 2 huge things that happened in this G2 Fnatic series. I think, obviously, the main one was the big team fight on the 5th game. As you can look at the current state of the game, we can see G2, the game state's kind of even. They both have the same amount of gold. They're both sitting on 2 drakes, and it's an Ocean Soul. So this 3rd dragon's really important because it's one dragon away from the Ocean Soul. So if we look at the game state, you can see here, G2 is pushing in mid-wave. Now, why is that important? Well, the dragon's up, so that means Fnatic has to show. So you can see Fnatic 5-man clumped up on the mid-wave, and G2, as we roll this out, they're going to go into bot side. They want to start this dragon, but the whole thing about neutral objectives is you don't want to start them, because if G2 would start this dragon and get a GP ult on them, it would be quite difficult for them to fight. So you can see they're 5-man stacking on this bush. Why is that important? Well, the pixel bush is super important in neutral objectives. Whether it's the Herald or the Dragon, if you can hold this pixel bush, you basically have a really good advantage in the fight. So as G2 roll it out, Fnatic try and push them out. You can see Caps, he sees Bippo on the top side with his ward, and you can see instantly jumps on him. Now, if we pause it right here, you can see there's 2 fights going on. There's Bippo and Caps, they're having a scrap up there. And then you can see Nemesis is using the culling alongside the Gangplank ult, and 3 members of G2 are zoned away. So as we roll the clip out, Fnatic make a decision here. You can see Reckless and Hylissang instantly run up to the top side with Nemesis, and that flash from Reckless there kind of seals the fight. They're 4v3 top side. They only have 1 carry in Caps, who's basically out of it. You can see he's just about to flash away from the Senna ult. And what does G2 do? Well, Jankos and Perks can't really join them. So what's the best thing to do? We may as well finish this Drake, because it's the 3rd Drake. We're not going to win the fight, but maybe we can get out with the Drake. So you can see if we roll this one, they rush the Drake, and Caps does his best to dodge around and get out. Mickey and Wunder kind of use their flashes to peel as much as they can. And if we pause the game state right here, you can see Caps is out of it. He can't fight. Mickey and Wunder are just running away. They have the Ornn ult and the Set ult to turn if they really want to, but their whole team composition needs to fight front to back. They have Ashe, Braum, Ornn. They have to hit frontline. So if we play this clip, if they're split like this, it's so hard to turn. Jankos has flash ult, he can't really go in. Wunder has the ult, he can't really pop it yet. Selfmade does really good in picking up Jankos, pops the Zhonya's, Fnatic come in and save him. The Ornn ult comes out, but there's just not enough follow-up. Perks can't hit. And as you see as the clip rolls out, Perks and Mickey are 2v5. They do their best to turn it, they do manage to kill Nemesis, but basically Fnatic, as soon as this fight ends, they get bot inhib and they get Baron. So that was a huge turning point in the game. I think the second main point was Caps versus Nemesis, because this is a bit later in the game. This is about 7 or 8 minutes later. There's 3 dragons on both sides and it's an Ocean Soul. So why is this important? Well, Ocean Soul kind of seals the game. So if you can see Caps here, he's looking for a pick on top side. The dragon's about to spawn. Nemesis has the TP ready. Caps jumps over the wall. He has no vision. He's no idea where anyone is. He's looking for a pick. He sees Nemesis, and then we'll pause it here. Look at Caps' HP. he's probably fine to fight that, right? Nemesis didn't crit him. It's probably a good fight for Caps. If he can kill Nemesis, they're going to win the game. They're going to get the Ocean Soul. But as we roll out the clip, Caps, he considers it. He does eventually decide to go back in. He lands the chain blind, so it's a good start. But you can see 2 crits, and then third one, 3 crits from Nemesis. Caps is dead. That was the Ocean Soul for Fnatic, and that kind of sealed the game. So I think one huge team fight gave him the 3rd Drake for G2, but this one pick by Nemesis kind of ended the game. So Trevor, did you keep up with that?
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Nicely done, Mark. Thank you for breaking that one down. Very, very impressive stuff. It's not easy to do solo. It's not easy to work with that telestrator. To bring it back to the game, though, Jesus, what did you think of the decision-making? And being honest now, what did you think of the quality of G2 and Fnatic's gameplay yesterday? Because they're both representing at Worlds, and that's one of the big question marks that we have.
So I feel like we've definitely seen higher level of play from both teams. But I feel like, I mean, I've been there but myself, right? And when you play against G2 from Fnatic side specifically, it is just, this is a different game, right? Like you have to just fight, like you have to show dominance, right? So that's why also, like for example, in the first clip that Kirill was showing as well, I feel like Fnatic and G2 are both so good at playing team fights, and they're so good at understanding team fight zones. So to me, it was very, very weird where I think it was Wonder and Jankus that tried to help the LeBlanc, right, on the top side. And so instead of just staying as a unit, as 4-man, and letting Caps do his own thing, they just jump on the GP and try to help Caps, and it's just a bloodbath. And I feel like that really just said everything about this series.
Kajal, is that like a bit of panic, a bit of confusion? I mean, that's game 5, 30 minutes in. Like, that was one of the most intense game 5s I've ever seen. Where would you attribute some of that lack of focus?
Well, I think Caps overestimated how much damage he had. He went for Bwipo, he tried to go for the 1v1, but Fnatic just responded so well. You know, as soon as Bwipo's having this 1v1, he's probably screaming, look, LeBlanc, he's inting. And then everyone flashes onto LeBlanc, gets LeBlanc, and that was their objective. They knew immediately when Caps went too far forward, Dragon was no longer the objective, it was the fight.
Yeah, absolutely the case. Well, look, at the end of the day, Fnatic win. It means they move on to the final, and G2 will face the winner of today's series on Saturday next week. Fnatic are guaranteed a top 2 seed at Worlds 2020. And of course, the loser of Mad Lions versus Rogue, which is today, which is in 15 minutes, will then start in the play-in stage. Jesus, I'm going to turn to you. How important is it to win today, to avoid play-ins, or is going to play-ins okay?
So I think specifically for both Rogue and Mad, assuming that, you know, either of them go to play-in, I guess they will. I think it's actually really helpful because they have a lot of rookies on their team. And at least for me in the past, when I was with Fnatic, we had Brox and Caps, who were rookies at the time. We've really benefited from being in play-ins just because we got those extra stage games. And I think it'll be the exact same thing for Rogue or Mad with their rookies. They will greatly benefit from actually being in play-ins.
Yeah, I have to agree with Jessis. I think regardless of whether you make play-ins or groups, you're in a good spot, right? So I think making groups is always a good jump forwards for the rookies, but making play-ins is always good because, I mean, it is a lot of pressure to get through the play-ins. But if you can get through them and get the experience, get the stage experience, you're super good. Because if you look at the past, right, G2 2018, all the way to semis, we have, last year we had Splice who got to the quarterfinals through play-ins. So play-ins could be a good thing.
I'm going to cut you off now because I'm going to put you on the spot. You brought up history, so this is your fault, right? And after making fun of me, did I keep up? How good is EU going to do at Worlds? 2018 Fnatic World Finalists, 2019, all 3 teams advance. We now have 4 teams going. Are we going to win?
Well, China looks scary, that's for sure. But I think if Fnatic and G2, it's hard to compare the level of them versus the Asian teams. I think Fnatic and G2 are obviously the pillars of Europe. They're the best teams we have. And if the rookies can step up and the veterans can step up, I think Europe will have a pretty good showing, honestly.
Jesus, that's a positive outlook. Do you agree? That means no. Okay, that means no. What do you actually think? What are our chances? I mean,
I think G2 and Fnatic will always step it up when it matters, especially for Worlds. So they can surprise me, and I do expect us to go out of groups, assuming that we have good groups.
Yes.
But I don't expect us to really go that far as the last 2 years. I think actually Mad Lions will be the dark horse coming into Worlds. But I don't know about Rogue.
Okay, well, we'll find out. We'll find out. We'll see how Rogue play a little later today. Maybe at the end of the day, I'll ask the same question. But let's turn our attention to a league where new talent emerges every year. The Rookie of the Season is a very prestigious award. In summer, it went to Vitality's Labrov. Jesus, tell me what you thought about the rookies in general here in the Summer Split in Europe.
I think this split's rookies were not that impressive, at least compared to previous splits rookies. I think it is obviously a little bit unfair just because the standard of the rookies last split was just so high. But I do think that Labrov definitely seemed confident, and he did seem to have good fundamentals as a player. So definitely deserved.
Yeah, I mean, it is deserved. I have to agree with Jess, is kind of right. The powerhouse rookies we had coming into the split last year and the start of spring split this year, you had like Selfmade, Shadow, Karzi, Kaiser, all these just crazy rookie talents. So granted, Labrov did do good in his first split. I think obviously they didn't make playoffs, but his plays were pretty good. His champion pool was good. He had really good ideas in the game and had a good game knowledge. But like Jess said, the rookies were a bit weak, but Europe always produces rookies.
They absolutely do. Rookies always step up and show. We've got a number of rookies going to the international stage as well. Let's turn to a few other rookies in the EU Masters because you can watch the future superstars of the LEC. So let's get a rundown of the tournament so far.
Kings, Dynasties, Legacies, Fnatic 3-0 in LEC playoffs. Fnatic 3-0 in LEC playoffs? The self-made nemesis Fnatic? The duo that came from here? EU Masters has been the best scouting grounds for LEC for years now. Rookies come and go, veterans fall and rise back up again. Whatever you need, we got you. From top-level plays to pentakills and coin flips, here's a couple of players to keep your eyes on during this season's European Masters. Coming from the NLC, playing for Fnatic Rising, Dan is holding the region's sole chances in his hands. A pure bloodhound in the jungle with very intelligent jungle paths, he always manages to find a lead. And once he has it, he never lets go. His first game in EU Masters was just a hint of what he's capable of. When Dan gets ahead, he stays ahead. Straight from the Ultra Liga, playing for Kick, Pookie style went global last split. Everyone across the world changing their profile pics to support him and the fight that Kick gave, going all the way to the finals in spring 2020 and granting Ultra Liga a very much deserved 3rd seed. Pookie style has been the most consistent link in Kick, and even though he might not seem too flashy, he is to be feared. Coming into the first week of groups, he managed to go 5-0 in under just 13 minutes versus Schalke 04 Evolution, while he has yet to die in lane. This man has been training his biceps for a reason. His cross-map ash arrows that never miss. Finally, European legend and current EU Masters champion, we could not leave out a veteran like Yellowstar. Representing the LFL, his 9 years of competitive experience are key for LDLC's success. A true playmaker, he's the driving force of creating proactive plays on the map. Roaming the rift and exerting pressure on his opponents is what he thrives on as a support. Even though LDLC are looking extremely shaky in the first half of groups, Yellowstar is actually topping the charts with an 87.5% kill participation. I know, you have too many questions, right? Is Dan indeed the best jungler in EU Masters? Will Pookie style give us another Polska Gorum final? Is Yellowstar and the defending champions gonna bounce back? Well, you can find out on the 9th of September where the second group stage begins. And don't forget, EU Master champions today, LEC champions tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Trouble. That was absolutely fantastic. EU Masters does continue after our summer finals. And Jez, you're no stranger, having won it, as a player, as a coach. How important is EU Masters to the European and the LEC ecosystem?
EU Masters is just massive for LEC. There's so many players that have just moved up. Even for me as well, I obviously had a year or two even outside of LEC where I was just smurfing through the academy a little bit.
I love that.
So it's really massive. I feel like that's the core of esports. I feel like it's just different. Like you really feel the hunger in all these rookies, and there's just so much talent to be.
I can't believe it. Sending young talent to Worlds as Rogue and Mad Lions have taken the league by storm.
I'll get you back for that one.
I think this patch was a bit rougher for us, but we picked it up now. That's like our biggest strength, I think, like the adaptability. I can already taste the feeling of being in finals and playing against G2, probably having another rematch. But I think outside of G2, I think Rogue and Schalke should be the next best teams.
Will the sleep come in? It does, and Roman the Dollar is here. Full sleep, massive ulti across the entire time, but no, still don't want to do so much damage. Still trying to find a way out. Gilly is simply next on the list. There's no, not like this. The to the base breaker. Reckless going to be the first target here as he goes down.
And winning the LEC would be really cool to stop the G2 and Fnatic dynasty. And I think we have a really good shot at winning LEC. So I really hope we can take the chance and actually win it, because I think we can do it.
Mad Lions and Rogue, the two new title contenders. There's only one championship weekend. Whoever wins will challenge G2 on Saturday next week. And if they win that game, Fnatic on Sunday. Let's start with Mad Lions. It is the rookie lineup. It is the team that for most of the summer season was sitting in first place up until the very end. Jesus, I'm going to start with you. What's your take on Mad Lions, the level that they've shown, and how you feel about their summer so far?
At least in the regular season, they were looking so promising. They really looked like they knew what they wanted to do. I felt that all the players were really performing to a really high level. But they kind of fell off. I'm not sure why. I feel like the whole split, they had the right idea in terms of picks and meta. And they had good fundamentals. So it made no sense, to me at least, why they would fall off.
And of course, the shots you're seeing on your screen, producers just told me this happened a few seconds ago as the players are getting ready. Kadril, they did fall off. They did lose round one battle, but then bounce back against Schalke. Talk to me about what you've seen in the last 2 weeks from Mad Lions.
Well, I think if you look at their sort of game against G2, the whole series, they were adapting really well in terms of playstyle. They were matching G2 way much more. I think their creativity was somewhat there, not really, but I think that the whole core concept and their fundamentals are good. I think the coaching staff has definitely engraved that in them. The core fundamentals are especially good, and I think versus Schalke, they had much better showing. I think Shadow, he had one bad game on the set in the first game, but after that, when the Lee and the Lilia came out, he looked so much more confident, he was making so many plays, and I just think Mad Lions was kind of back on form.
Definitely on form, and obviously picking up that second series win is going to be important. We'll see what they do. Their opponents today is going to be Rogue. This is the team that won the regular season. They had extremely dominating stats, yet nobody respected them or feared them. Jesus, help explain to me why.
I mean, they just got 3-0 Goomba stomped by Fnatic, right? But I rewatched the games, and they actually didn't look as bad as the first time around that I looked at them play. I felt like they were just kind of limit testing, and they weren't as bad. I genuinely think that Fnatic just
outperformed them,
smashed them basically.
Yeah, I think the whole plan that Fnatic had coming into the series was the whole AD AP jungle. I think everyone's familiar with it, but I just think Rogue's responses weren't good. They went back to their old style with the Kalista in the set, and it did work for them. I just think that they needed that extra oomph, to go to the best of 5. I think obviously in best of 1s this team's really good, but I think individually they kind of stepped down a bit. Larson was getting caught in team fights. Finn was not playing the lane phase well. Inspired was misplaying a couple of fights. But barring that, I think Rogue is still a strong team.
I mean, they absolutely are. They're definitely going to Worlds, and I've actually got a personal message to a lot of fans saying they don't deserve to be there. You're freaking wrong. This is a team that has played better than everyone else in Europe all year long. And with the new format for Worlds qualification, even if they lose today, they will have the 4th seed, which means they go to play-ins, right? Hypothetically, had this been last year, had this been 2019, and last year's world qualification system, they would have been the 2nd seed because they would have gone on championship points. So the new system, while yes, it does mean they're still going, and while yes, they may have lost their playoff series, you have to look at the whole year, and you have to look at the fact that they have been consistent. One consistent story that I've heard, Kadril, is that they have a one-dimensional play style.
Yeah, you heard it from Kazi on PGL a couple days ago. He thinks that they're like an open book, basically. You can look at their team comps on screen. Mid lane, I don't even have to say anything about it. They just play control mages. Larson is the control mage king, but the whole concept of their comps is the same. They play like a team fighting top, maybe a carry here and there, and then they play an early game jungle, where it's a tank or just a pressure jungle, and then in the bot lane, they're just playing these roaming playmaking supports with the Kalista, I guess, is the only outlier in their comps where they want to play more aggressive in bot, but the rest of them are just scaling supportive AD carries. So Rogue is definitely targetable. They've had a week's practice, so hopefully they've come up with something new. But we'll have to see what they do against Mad Lions.
How do you beat them?
How do you beat them?
Yeah.
You play better than them.
Well, that's simple. For more on Rogue, let's check in with Law and the performance coach. Well, you made that very easy.
Well,
thank you very much, Quickshot, and thank you, Ismail, for joining me ahead of your game.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Like always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. And you will be playing again this week. You didn't know your opponents before 2 days ago, actually. So how did your prep go, not knowing who you would face?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was not too difficult to prepare for Mad or for Schalke anyways, because we as well can see what they are playing beforehand, Saturday and Friday's games, and as well we've been screaming them like in the previous weeks. So it was more about how we refocus after Fnatic's game. So it was more about us, how we're going to fix or change a few things that we should prepare for this week, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting because you were the first team to also qualify for Worlds. So I want to talk about the preparation from Rogue entering playoffs, because to me, it's hard for the players to stay focused on playoffs while already knowing that they will be playing at Worlds. So talk me through managing their expectations, but also keeping their focus here.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, because for sure our main goal this year was to make it to Worlds, so we made it early. So in terms of motivation, of course, it's still there. The motivation, the players want to have a good performance in Worlds, but then at the same time, what we did was to be very clear how we were going to approach the playoffs. So we've been working a lot in terms of being the present moment, as well as how that looked like in reality. So for us was like, we have playoffs, so who do we play first? How is going to be approached? So it's of course challenging. It's challenging, but I think everyone is on the same page in this direction as well, trying to read the meta and trying to just be here. To be honest, it's just like that.
Do you think it impacted the result you had against Fnatic, though?
I mean, I think there are many things that happened that last week. Some of the players were a little bit sick, so as well that impacted in the preparation. Of course, for some of them, we're already in China, but I think that's part of the experience. And I feel like in best of fives and playing against teams like Fnatic and G2 in best of fives, it's a huge difference. I think I consider my players still rookie players. Of course, Handsome and Bander, they have experience, but three of them, they don't have much experience in best of fives or in playing at high stakes. Yeah. So yeah, it could have been an issue when playing against Fnatic. But the goal for us right now is just to gain the like kind of more experience and trying to get comfortable in these scenarios, basically.
Yeah, of course, you want to be on your top form when you will go to China. But okay, hold on. Are the players healthy this week? Like, is everybody doing okay?
Yeah, everyone is fine. Yes,
awesome,
yes.
awesome. Okay,
it was just part of that week. But everyone is feeling great this week.
Perfect. Then now, today against Mad, it's a team you know very well, actually. It's growing into becoming the second best rivalry in Europe, I think. So today against Mad, you have to win to get into semifinals. So how will you approach this game in terms of preparation, I mean?
Yeah, in terms of preparation, same as last week, same as how we've been doing it the whole split. I think we've been consistent in terms of approaching preparation and approaching how we want to play on stage. So it's going to be the same, but then of course what is changing right now is we want to release some stress from the players. So that's why we want to share that idea that we are playing best of fives to try to get more experience, to try to figure out how we play together as a team in a best of fives, because definitely it's a different game, basically. So how people interact between the games. So we had already one experience last week against Fnatic. This week, we took a reflection on what we should do differently between games, even before the game, and how everyone should be feeling and treating each other. So yeah, there are a few changes, and of course, in-game might be another changes, but more from my perspective, is more about like very specific things in terms of between games.
All right, well, I trust you to put them in the right mindset. It's a recipe that's been working so far. So Ismael, thank you very much for the interview, and best of luck today against Mad Lions.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And back to you, Quick Shots.
Absolutely fantastic interview, Law. Thank you so much for getting that insight from Ismael. I really like the comments about best of five and it being different to BO1s. I think we'll be unpacking that later throughout the day. With less than 4 minutes until we get to draft, I want to talk a little bit about this matchup. My eyes are going to be on Kaiser. I think he needs to be on a playmaking champion. He was a mid-split MVP, and I think he's one of the superstars on Mad Lions.
I think there's a big reason as to why he was the mid-split MVP. He was just completely smurfing on the league. He was honestly just a level above every other support, perhaps even over other players as well. But I don't know, I guess Mad Lions just kind of fell off as a team. He started playing more, lean back kind of supports, and I feel like Mad Lions really need him on these proactive supports. Specifically because, they have, obviously it's a full rookie roster. He is one of the more comfortable players when it matters. And also just the champion pools, like the jungle loves to play Lilia and Hecarim and stuff like that. So they really benefit from Kai'Sa on a proactive support.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Somebody whose champion pool has been in question, Finn. Talk to me about Finn. We're expecting him on Ornn duty all day long. Did not look particularly strong last week against Bwipo especially.
Yeah, he just kind of didn't look like he's on the same page as the jungler, especially in this fight, for example. I think if you look at his champion pool, he likes to play, there's 2 carries there. He does like to play the carries here and there, but I feel like his carry performance against Bwipo last week was just, it wasn't very good. I think he got solo killed once by a Sion. He had to flash out a couple times against Bwipo's Ornn. The carry performances just aren't doing it for me, and you can see one of the solo kills here. I think Finn is good in team fights. His lane has been questionable, so I'd rather see Finn on something more teamfight oriented, the Ornn, something safer like the Sion, because I think if you're going to first pick a Gangplank and invest that into draft, like a first pick champ for your top laner, and it's not working, then you need to go back to something default.
Kedril, talk to me about Larssen, because he's the consistent carry, and he's the guy that has statistically been the most impressive mid laner, and he's the guy that Rogue can rely on.
Yeah, I think Larssen has been definitely their rock kind of in the games. I think he's always playing these control mages, whether it's a Azir or Orianna or something like this. He's always having the push. He's always helping his team as much as he can. And I think his team fighting is essential for Rogue. I think he plays the team fight so good, barring probably one team fight last week where he got hit by a hook. Other than that, I think Larssen has been exceptional.
He's allowed one mistake. Right?
He's
allowed one mistake. But now let's see how he does today. I do want to hear from the fans around who you think is going to win. If you're watching, spam in chat. Mad or RGE? That's MAD or RGE. Who will win today to face off against G2 next Saturday? Kedril, you've been here the longest, so I'm going to give you the honors. Who will win this matchup? What will the scoreline be? And how will they win the series?
Well, last time I was on the analyst test for this kind of matchup was Rogue Splice last year, and I voted Splice 3-0. But this time, I think times changed. They might have changed their name, but I think Rogue's going to take it. I think they're the first place team for a reason. I think they probably stepped it up. They found something new. Inspired maybe wants to try out the Evelyn, and they're going to win 3-1.
That I was not expecting, and it was quite a compelling argument. Where does your prediction lie, James?
I think Mad Lions 3-2. I just think that it might go to a lot of games. I think both teams are in a pretty good form right now. I just think Mad Lions have more in the bag. They have more picks. They play more towards the meta, and I feel like Rogue, just their predictability is just, it's not going to take them far enough for 3 wins.
3-1, 3-2. The fans at home are heavily in favor of the Mad Lions. And with 30 seconds left before draft, very quick thoughts. Pivotal champions that you expect to be, showing up in game 1.
Yeah, I think Rogue, if you look at Larssen from Spring Split, he was playing Tristana and Lucian and stuff like this, so why doesn't he bring those things out? I think Rogue need to adapt to what's happening in the meta. They can see the G2 Fnatic series, what teams are playing. They know what the top teams are playing in LPL, try to adapt to it and try to pick something new up rather than just a control mage with a scaling jungler and a team fighting top.
Do you think Rogue are going to be brave enough to let Finn play anything other than Ornn?
I think it would be the best choice and also the newer choice, because to me that means that maybe they put Inspired on a carry.
Ooh,
finally.
That might be bold. That might be bold. Gentlemen,
finally.
Thank you so much. Jez, it was a pleasure having you already. Check. You'll be here all day long for the post-games. Kedril, you did okay. The teams are fighting for the right to challenge the kings of the LEC. Let's see who rises to the occasion.
Hello, everyone. I'm Medic. This is Vedius over here.
Hi, everyone.
It seems like the fans are really predicting a Mad Lions
Does
win
seem like
here,
that way, but
yeah.
Medic, I must say, that weight loss, it's really starting to come
through. Man. It's really
Loving the tattoo as well.
I got a heart because I'm a doctor.
That does make sense.
I quite like your fashion sense, a little bit warm
thank you, man.
for me, the scarf.
Yeah, I'm feeling it, though. It's a little chilly in the studio today.
Good place.
But I'm excited. Mad
Super
versus
excited,
Rogue. How can we not be? This is going to be a great day.
It's going to be an incredible day.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
We didn't work out how long we were going to do that for. I'm actually going to keep hugging my bear.
I was really hoping Kevin would just be in our area and be like, stop.
Hey,
but Kevin was like,
please finish.
Keep going.
We'll put you over here.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello,
we are here for Mad vs. Rogue. We're having a bit of fun because, of course, it has been a long and intense playoff series. And this is the final day of round 2. One of these two teams will be going up against G2 Esports next week in the semi-final after what was a thrilling game or series yesterday between G2 and Fnatic.
Honestly, I think I'm still in shock. It was 274 days between the last time Fnatic beat G2 and yesterday, and it's so strange to see Fnatic sitting in the winner in the finals already, and one of these teams has the chance to face them, of course. It's kind of reminiscent of spring when it was Mad Lions versus G2 in the semi-final. I'm sure Mad Lions will be hoping to get there once again, but Rogue currently stand in their way. Rogue, our first place team in the regular season, and Betty, I must remind you, of the 15 LEC titles that have been won so far, the team that placed first in the regular season has won 11 of them. 73% of the time, our best team in the regular season ends up being the best team in the split.
So what you're saying is Rogue's odds are looking pretty good right now.
I see, odds implies their form has stayed the same. And I think, although Fnatic now look like a much better team than they did when they played against Rogue last week,
isn't that where the controversy around Rogue comes from? In that their form has stayed the same, and that's what made them so exploitable against Fnatic and why they were punished. And I think that's what so many fans are going to be looking at in today's series, because Rogue will be a representative at the World Championship this year, and after they were handily defeated by Fnatic, expectations are, how will Rogue stack up on the international stage? Are we really sending a good representative to the international competition this year? And I believe that we are, but let's see if Rogue can prove it today. Mad Lions are hungry. They want to get top 3 again, seeding for Worlds implications, of course, and still a chance to fight for that LEC crown. We're going to see who comes out on top. We've already got the bans coming in thick and fast, man.
And I love this from Rogue. They say, okay, Shadow's played 4 games of Lilia in the playoffs. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of Humanoid's possibility of having that first pick at Kali, remove the Hecarim, and put Shadow back onto something like the Lee Sin, onto something like the Set, something that you know a little bit more. And immediately, Rogue, they've learned from last week.
No Gangplank first pick this time.
Larson is going to get Nemesis's Lucian in the mid lane, probably.
The Gangplank, of course, being banned out, but this does mean that the Lucian going to be locked in. I'm excited to see where this goes. We've been seeing a lot of it in solo lanes over in the East. We also saw it in North America last night between Cloud9 and TSM. And I still think it can be playing the bot lane. Hans Summer used to be a big Lucian player, and I think that when you pair it up with Yuumi specifically, it can be a very potent 2 versus 2.
Of course, we first saw it when Rogue were demolished by Fnatic last week. Nemesis playing against Larson in the mid lane. Ashe, still an incredibly strong AD carry. Kazi's played it 4 times in the playoffs, has won 3 of those games. And Mad Lions looking to team it up with. You'd expect a support here. The Nautilus, a very powerful pick alongside the Ashe. Could go for a roaming mid, though, for Humanoid. The deck may play out in their favor as they lock in Twisted Fate.
Interesting. Again, we saw a pretty impressive Twisted Fate last night from Bjergs, and we'll see if Humanoid can replicate that level of performance. I think that it's a very powerful early game champion, not necessarily for laning, but the moment he hits level 6, as Medic was saying, you can look to impact the rest of the map. When you pair that up with an Ashe Arrow as well, you're already seeing a lot of pick potential come out from this Mad Lions squad. The Evelyn hover, we heard the analyst there talking about it. We will get to see Inspired on a carry jungler. Rogue definitely shaking things up here in Game 1, Medic.
I mean, the crazy thing is, Rogue actually had the least unique champions of any team during the regular season, and they have already locked in 3 champions. They did 2 champions they didn't play at all in the regular season. So that question of draft adaptability, that question of bringing new things to the table for Rogue seems to be being answered in Game 1. Of course, they still have to pilot these champions well. They still have to be effective on them. But with the Lucian, the Eve, and the Senna locked in, I think we can solidly say Rogue are bringing something new to the table.
Yes, they certainly are. Well, I'm excited, that's for sure. As we move into the second phase, let's have a look at some of the things that both these teams need. Well, support is going to be the priority. Remember that Mad Lions do get first pick of support, so they may consider banning out some potential counters, things like a Leona, perhaps, and then they look to prioritize something like the Nautilus for themselves, get a weaker matchup for that center. They could also think about banning Tahm Kench, but it looks like they're going to focus on banning out some of the counter top lane champions that Orome could struggle against.
I actually really like this because when Rogue played against Fnatic last week, Finn was a clear weak point. He died 3 times on average at the 15-minute mark. He was dived on by Fnatic over and over again. And so here, pick the Camille, give yourself a strong pick in the top lane, get rid of some of the powerful picks into it, and put Finn on something where he is near useless.
Looks like that is the game plan and strategy for Mad Lions. Meanwhile, Rogue looking to take out some of the junglers. Graves going to be the first one off the board. Will they take out the Kindred? I think that we've been seeing a lot of this over in the LPL. Nidalee is another one that has been rising in popularity. Ooh, I actually love that Lulu ban because Remember that Evelyn, all about the execution, all assassins, they hate playing against Lulu players. The whimsy, the ultimate that provides that additional HP, all very valuable, but hey, Mad Lions, Shadow, of course, one of the best Lee Sin players, if not the best Lee Sin player that we have here in Europe. And of course, they're just going to lock that one in.
So I'm thinking about options for that support pick, and one that comes to mind, perhaps because I watched a lot of TSM yesterday, Zilean. Zilean support can actually work really well into the Eve, because you just chuck the Chrono Shift onto your AD carry whenever he gets dived on. Could do something similar to that Lulu. We'll see if Mad Lions decide to go towards it. Rogue, though, getting rid of another strong pick into Eve by taking the Tahm Kench themselves and then getting a strong tank in the top lane. Once again, Finn, his job is to influence team fights, not really win out his lane.
Yeah, it looks like that. So I think that Rogue, they changed some things, but they didn't change everything. The first 2 picks, I was like, okay, Rogue, we're seeing a different shape, we're seeing a different style to them. But nope, we're still going to get the Ornn, we're still going to get a Tahm Kench. This is still very Rogue. Right now, very traditional front to back. The craziest thing is going to be how this Evelyn plays out in fights, where they're able to find these executions. I'm surprised Mad Lions decided to go for the Thresh. I think that Tahm Kench is a great matchup into the Thresh because of the protection that it can provide. I mean, I'm also just really surprised that they didn't ban out Tahm Kench. When you think about the amount of single target crowd control that Mad Lions has, I think Tahm Kench is a really good pick into that. And I think the Mad Lions have put a lot of responsibility on themselves to actually get ahead in the early game. I think that when it comes to scaling, sure, Mad Lions do have some side lane options. I think it's going to be difficult for them to play on the sides. Sorry, they're going to have strong power in the side lanes, but the problem they're going to have is this Evelyn later on, because she can just show up anywhere, and it's something that's very difficult to ward for. So I like what Rogue have drafted to try and answer Mad Lions' composition, and now it just largely comes down to execution. Which Rogue is going to show up today?
We'll see. Rogue versus Mad Lions for a chance to place G2 next week. And on to Summoner's Rift we go. And I do want to come back to that point about Inspired, because I've been looking through his Season 10 history, Vedius, and the top thing, the top champion I can see that is a carry, I'd say, is Pantheon on this list. He's played it twice. Everything else, you're looking at Sejuani, Lee, Set, Trundle.
The
Olaf is kind of there.
That would be like the carry jungler that Inspired would typically play when he was like, that was the champion you had to ban out from him, but then whenever you didn't get Olaf, you would struggle. That was very much a narrative we had for him last year. Yeah, I think this is definitely a shift in a different direction. I find it funny because, you know, we did see some new picks in the form of the Evelyn and the Lucian, and then everything else around them is like, okay, that's enough change. Let's just, let's keep some things the same. And again, it's like very traditional front to back, good scaling, but they do have a lot of agency in the mid lane, and I'm very curious as to what Larssen will do with it. He may just neutralize it. He may just apply so much pressure in the early game against Humanoid to prevent him from looking for these roams. He could also try to roam himself. Notice that he is running the cleanse, so he won't be able to match, given that he has no teleport. And for the early laning phase Humanoid, he's going to be forced to play defensive, because Lucian, for those that don't know, is very oppressive into most mid lane matchups. And we'll see how Humanoid fares.
It's going to be an interesting one, to be sure. Larssen, of course, struggled so much last week to really have an influence on the game. In fact, we actually have some of his numbers here. You can see in the regular season, he was probably statistically the best mid laner in the league. High KDA, ahead in CSD, high damage percent. But then in playoffs, Fnatic was so good at locking him out of the game, partly because Nemesis was on the Lucian pick into his Azir, but partly also because Fnatic were just very good at making sure that Larssen was on an island, that no one was really ever able to influence his lane.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Larssen, he didn't really show the same level of performance that he did during the regular season and playoffs, and I think that he is one of the players that I definitely want to say step up. You know, I'm very excited, and I hope that Rogue get to play TSM at Worlds. Obviously, it has been a bit of a meme, but I think that Larssen and Bjergsen have a lot of similarities in terms of their progression, their play style, and I thought that Larssen as a player has showcased a very deep champion pool in the past. I think that he showcased that he can carry, and while this split he hasn't shown that same level of depth, I think that matchup could be very interesting. So I want to see a strong performance from him today, and from Rogue as well, with Worlds so very close. Hook does land from Kaiser. Looks like that's not going to result in a huge event.
The last embrace coming out from Hans Sommer stops Kaiser really following up, and you can just see the constant trading here in the bottom lane. Kazi and Kaiser currently have the push as expected. Ashe very good at pushing in lanes, and Senna not that great at pushing them out herself because of those slower than normal auto attacks and a lack of real wave clear. So for the moment, you expect Mad to be behind this. The hook's going to land, but you talked about it in draft, Vedius. The Tahm Kench just gobbles up Hans Sommer, and there's nothing that Mad can really do.
Well, Kazi and Kaiser do have push in the 2 versus 2 though. We'll see what Shadow looks to try and do with that. Notice that Larssen also went for a very early recall after pushing in the wave. He's likely not going to lose a huge amount of that, but this also gives a window for Shadow to invade. He's going to get a bit of information on what Inspired is up to. For the time being, it looks like there's not going to be too much there. This will just give him the opportunity to take that bot river scuttle crab.
Yeah, so actually might be looking towards the mid lane here. Of course, looks like he's got a ward, so he can just jump across if Larssen oversteps. Humanoid does have the teleport, currently only sitting at the inhibitor turret. Shadow's going to start up the Razor Beaks. Inspired coming around the corner. Didn't realize that Shadow was on them. Is going to dive straight onto him, and this Lee Sin's going to have to ward jump away, but Inspired is still on the chase and has the flash. Shadow flashes the wall. Inspired flashes to follow. The Whiplash hits, but Shadow dives to the Grump, and the Ardent Blaze will secure first blood to Larssen.
And Shadow, he got a bit greedy here. He thought he could steal these away, and now Rome is struggling in the top lane.
Oh, if that Brittle had connected, Finn would have just clapped him down for the kill, but Arome will use the flash to get away.
So Rogue already having a solid performance in the early game and a big punish onto Shadow. Notice here, crucially, Shadow is just lying in wait to actually steal away the Raptors, but Inspired's timing is perfect. He lines everything up, he arrives just as these Raptors respawn, and now Shadow doesn't have any abilities to actually skirmish against this Evelynn in the early game. You're seeing the Q buffs come through here for the Eve, and while Shadow just barely thinks he's going to get out, Larssen is already roaming down, flashes, lands the W, and oh look, Lucian now has a blue buff at level 4.
Cool guys don't look at explosions as Larssen looks the other way, and already he's up to the top lane. And Vedi, you asked it just 2 minutes ago. What can Larssen do with the lane priority? What can he do early on to get around this map? Well, so far he's been able to get 2 kills.
And look now, Shadow is losing his early camps. Let's see if we have any more action in the bot lane. The ultimate comes through.
Humanoid, that was actually the teleport coming out there, but the curse of the Black Isles is too strong.
Wow.
Too strong.
So Mad tried to respond. As you correctly identified there, Medic, it was the teleport coming out from Humanoid, trying to take advantage of the fact that Larssen roamed up towards topside, but this bot lane's difficult to gank. Yep. Like, not only is there the Curse of the Black Mist, again, as you highlighted, Medic, but also the Tahm Kench Consume. It is the Consume, right? That's what it's called. I always confuse it with Consume or Gobble Up.
It's Consume, or is it Devour?
Devour.
Consume is Cho'Gath. Oh no, that's Feast. Consume is Nunu Q.
Oh, this is why I have play-by-plays, ladies and gentlemen. To me, they're all just Q, W, E, and R. Yeah, so Vander uses W there to protect Hans Sommer should he be in any danger, and that makes it so difficult for Mad to actually find these picks. So early advantages immediately going in favor of Rogue. I like the initial punish, and then transition into taking that pressure up towards top. Larssen now sits 2-0-0.
What an early game it's been for Rogue so far. 1,300 gold ahead. A fed Lucian, Mad Lions trying to get something back for themselves. It looks like the reset has just come out from Larssen and Hans Sommer and Vander. They've only just got back into the lane, so this should be a pretty easy Cloud Drake for Mad. Will be at least a little bit of recompense for a struggling early game.
Yeah. It's kind of like the small light at the end of the dark tunnel right now, and the fact that Finn is already winning his 1v1 matchup in the top lane against Arome is definitely a much better performance compared to what we saw from him last week. I think he was definitely the player that received the most criticism, and he might even look to dive this.
Call of the Forge God coming out. Arome is going to use the hookshot. Wall dive still gets hit with it. Finn, that would be a long way to chase.
But it's worth. Do you know what I mean? You zone Arome away from all these minions. I think that was 2 waves that was lost, and Finn is going to be able to push in another wave, right? He could even set up a slow push freeze if you want. No, he's just going to go for the push. He knows that Arome doesn't have the TP, and I think this is also fine because now the wave is going to crash, it's going to bounce back, and Arome is going to lose the cannon. Finn's going to get a free recall. Everything going so well for Rogue in this early game.
I mean, there's a reason they were the best team in the regular season. They are having a cracking start to this game, and I will give credit to Finn. Early on, I said that I didn't think he would have that much influence, but he's doing a lot of work. So the Cullen comes out.
Evelynn.
trying to get around as Shadow dives away, but Inspired already level 6, has that last caress, and Shadow tries to get onto the Krug to get away. Inspired still on the chase, last caress, he dives back with it, and Shadow dies to the hate spikes. It can do everything. You go in, you go out, you protect, and you attack, as Inspired gets a kill.
That was clever from Inspired. I thought that he had missed his ultimate there, but he just used it to close the gap. Clever utilization, and I honestly thought that he would go for the dive into mid lane as well, but his intention was to try and put Shadow behind. 2-level difference now between the junglers, and you know what, Medic? I laughed a little bit. You know, the changes that we saw from Rogue was, oh, we're seeing a slightly different mid lane pick, slightly different jungle, but everything else seems to stay the same for Rogue. Well, those 2 changes are coming up massive in Game 1 against Mad Lions.
They really are. You can see just a very strong performance so far from Rogue. Level advantage for Larssen in the mid lane. Inspired actually 2 levels ahead of Shadow right now. Almost a level and a half if you subtract the little bit of XP that Shadow is about to gain. But it's just so difficult for Mad. They have so few opportunities. They're 2,000 gold behind at the 8.5-minute mark, and they are struggling. Destiny's going to be popped here in the top lane. Finn dives underneath the turret. Arome decides he wants to go in and will get the kill. The heal comes out. Arome just about survives.
Okay, if it wasn't for that heal, that could have ended in disaster. I think this was a much needed play for Mad. I like the setup, I like the execution, and Mad finally do get a kill back on the board. Larssen, though, going to push in that wave, look for a roam up, but I think he's going to act as interference to stop this Rift Herald going over to Mad.
I'm just not sure if you can do this as Mad, right? Humanoid has the flash, is up here. Inspired's on his way as well. Doesn't have the last caress right now. Shadow's in the back of the Rift Herald arena. And the dive comes in from Larssen. Light Slinger used to get a couple of autos in. Shadow's going to hit it with the Sonic Wave. Here comes the arrow. That goes wide. Unfortunately, doesn't hit Shelly. She's arrow immune as Humanoid eats up a culling. Cycles through to the gold card. Shadow diving in. Hits a kick onto Inspired, but Inspired's going to chase him down with the 8 spikes. Dawning Shadow coming out as Shadow gets just about onto the Lantern in time. And Inspired gets the Herald.
And Mad, they tried to swap their bot lane up towards the Rift Herald, but it was a little too late. Vander was already there beforehand, and both Shadow and Humanoid just got forced off. Rogue utilizing this early advantage that they've been able to accrue, and they're keeping the snowball going.
I actually love this. We talked about opening up Inspired, opening up Larssen, so getting him around the map, putting the Rift Herald down here just gets that turret down quicker. It means the Lucian can get away.
But it also stops Humanoid from freely roaming around the map. He's been able to make 2 plays so far. He TP'd to bot lane once. He also used his ultimate to top lane once. And so far, Mad have only been able to get 1 kill. You can see the difference in the gold. 800 in favor of Larssen right now. 400 in favor of the top. 1.5k between the 2 junglers. And like that early play from Shadow, you know, it's pretty crazy how a single mistake can balloon into such a massive advantage. And, you know, this is what happens in pro play. You know, solo queue, you make that misstep, like, sure, you can probably bounce back from that, but Inspired knows exactly what to do. Larssen knows how to capitalize with the pressure, and they've just been doing everything in their power to put Shadow's Lee Sin behind.
It also makes you wonder about, you know, future games in this series. Of course, a best of 5. We've seen Mad Lions fight back in series like this before. We saw them fight against G2 last split, you know, where they went all the way to 5 games. So you wonder, do Mad have to adapt their draft? Do you get rid of things like the Evelynn? Because we said it in draft, Inspired is not known for playing these carries. Like, Olaf is the only carry we really know him on. Otherwise, he's on Sejuani duty. He's on Set duty. He's on Lee Sin duty, Jarvan duty. He's the guy that helps Finn engage. He is not the guy that hard carries the game.
Well, this game, he's having a stellar performance alongside Larssen. Both of them very fed, very strong. Both level 9, by the way. I think Inspired is the 2nd, 3rd highest level in the game. Just only matching Humanoid. But we're going to bring the XP. Yeah, you can see 3rd highest level in the game right now, with Finn close behind them. And Inspired, once again, looking for another play. We've been seeing this a lot from Evelynn, just rushing the death cap. You know that he can just execute him.
Dives in, Human's going to flash away, the stun card lands, and Inspired needs to use his ultimate to get away, but Larssen chases down the kill. Arome is trying to collapse, as meanwhile in the top lane there was a little bit of a dive, but Vogue have been able to survive. Arome now getting towards this mid lane tower as it falls. Inspired's going to try and put the charm down. Arome does still have flash. Hookshot wall dive doesn't flash towards it. Larssen trying to dodge away, but he's hit with the sweep, and the shutdown goes to Camille.
Much needed shutdown for Mad there to try and alleviate the pressure. Shadow with the kick.
Another well-timed play in the top lane. Hans Sama away from his Tahm Kench, away from the belly of the beast, and Mad Lions able to get the kill.
All right, so Mad Lions answering back now. They're able to get a couple of picks. They'll likely get a couple more plates up and towards the top side of the map. The fact that Arome was able to get that shutdown is very valuable for him as well. Finn actually setting up a bit of a flank here. He knows that Evelynn is on the Drake.
Rome does still have flash here, so should just be able to hookshot away. Manages to escape. As you say, the Dragon does go down to Rogue, delays any soul point possibility for the Mad Lions, because of course they were the first getting that Cloud Drake earlier on.
Okay, so we've had a pretty action-packed early game already. I like what we're seeing from both teams. Of course, Shadow put at that early deficit, but still able to find a pick here or there. And I think already we can safely say that Rogue has definitely stepped up coming into this series. Again, a lot of question marks surrounding Rogue and their level of performances. While they did lose to Fnatic, and I think that it's fair to say, based on yesterday's results, that Fnatic is obviously a very strong team. I think individually we saw poor performances. Hansama and Vander dying 2 versus 2 in lane, Finn getting solo killed, Larson not having the same impact, Inspired being invisible, but this time around his invisibility is working off in Rogue's favor, and they're able to get a huge number of advantages. So they're stepping up. We now need to see how Mad respond in kind. They're not the kind of team to just roll over and die. They're very proactive in the early game. They will fight you, and they will claw back deficits just through sheer aggression and looking for plays and picks. We can already see Twisted Fate going to bring up the minimap for you. Notice where he's hovering right now, looking for a potential opportunity with Shadow waiting in the wings, seeing if anyone oversteps, seeing if that Senna does get a little too far up in the lane so that they can punish, because with the mid lane down, it's too dangerous for Humanoid to just push up and wave clear as he was before, because that Evelyn could show up at any time.
And we've already seen Hansama get caught out by himself in this top lane, and Mad are setting up for it once again. As you say, Shadow is just around the corner. Let's have a look at where we are in terms of items. Inspired on his way to the death cap, has double needlessly large rod. The Manamune stacking up on Larson and Hansama, so give them, 5-10 more minutes. Those two champs, that Lucian and that Senna, will be incredible.
Help Rogue as they transition from the mid game, or into the mid game rather. Now Mad once again looking for a cross map play. They have the Twisted Fate ultimate, the Ash arrow comes through.
Only onto the Tahm Kench, but a good flash kick from Shadow will get a chase off, but the Devour is just too quick. Hansama able to survive, and Larson's looking for a flank position here as the tower still stands. The Culling coming out, Humanoid dodging back into the bush, but he's not going to be able to survive. He might take Hansama. The shield from the Dawning Shadow. Hansama keeps himself just about alive.
Well played there once again for Rogue, and you're seeing how obnoxious this Tahm Kench pick is. We talked a lot about it in draft. There's so much single target CC that Rogue were able to just get out of that, and now they're looking for another fight.
Box goes down, Sonic Wave misses from Shadow as he looks just to help disengage for Kaiser and Kazi. We'll note Kazi has a 20 CS lead now on this Ashe. Blade of the Ruin King complete. Ashe, of course, so good at pushing in the lanes. We mentioned it when they were down in the bottom lane. Has just continued to do that in the top lane. And Rogue have been playing more around trying to catch out a Rome, it feels, than around their bot lane. They've been trying to keep this Camille down, keep her shut down, and it has been working. She's about 30, 40 CS down, picked up a couple of kills, but yet to complete that first item. You can actually see only Shadow and the supports have less gold than a Rome does right now.
Yeah, I think that Rogue have done a great job of putting the two carries that Mad ideally wanted to get advantage on in the early game behind. Keeping Humanoid down, attacking his mid lane early. Inspired now. I think he's found another pick.
For Rome, hookshot wall dive will get him out. Larson waiting on the Cullen. Doesn't quite have it up yet. Could dive under the tower. Goes for it. The piercing light into Ardent Blaze is not quite enough.
I don't think his Q was just in range, so he couldn't quite get that execute, but it doesn't matter. Rogue going to secure another tower. And what I really want to highlight this game is how Larson is moving around the map. Notice that whenever Rogue are playing for a tower, Larson's always in a position and working with Inspired to make sure that people get zoned away from the objectives so that they lose a lot of farm, and the objective goes easily in the favor of Rogue. And again, I want to draw your attention to the minimap. Notice how in the bot lane, this wave has been pushed up all the way to the tower, and the same is being done in the mid. The reason why they do this so much is to give them time to reset as Shadow looks for a play.
Yeah, he dived in. The heal was used immediately from Rogue, and Larson, well, it's named the Culling for a reason as he takes down the Lee Sin.
Yeah, so Yeah.
It was a greedy play.
Well, Shadow wanted to try and find a pick while Rogue were on the reset because he recognized that, okay, Finn is probably looking to base right now. Evelyn's probably just looked to base as well. But you can see the center and Lucian here. Let's see if we can just burst out Hansama, only level 9, but lo and behold, the Lucian's level 12. Has more than enough damage to be able to turn that one around, and Rogue walk away with another kill and the second Drake of the game.
And a 5,000 gold lead, Vedius. Like, it's quietly continued to sneak up here. Larson has about a 2k lead over his opposing mid lane, over Humanoid. That's the name.
Oh, so initially he just wants to interrupt, and then he's like, I can make this play happen.
Call of the Q.
But he doesn't
do anything, yeah.
Well, wait, did he not have a ward? Because he didn't ward jump or anything. He literally just queued in and then died.
So sometimes Shadow is someone to be feared. And sometimes he does things like that and he's not.
I mean, I would actually say that's extremely uncharacteristic of Shadow. Oh, yeah, okay. So he had the Rift Tail. That's why he didn't have a ward to jump to. I wonder if he recognized that.
Yeah, I wonder if he just made the mistake of diving in.
I don't know. Either way, like, uncharacteristic of Shadow. Yep. Now, I will say that Shadow had a poor game 1 on Friday with his set. Now, that was kind of, you know, his... Oh, hang on, one sec.
First hit
watch this execution. Yeah, okay, so back to what I was saying. This is quite an uncharacteristic performance from Shadow. And some might say this is uncharacteristic from Inspired, as Man picks up another fight.
Call of the Forge God going down, Aromia locked up in place, knocked up. There's the Dawning Shadow. The shot connects and Finn gets the kill onto Arome. Larson now on his way. Shadow goes down. It's a double for Finn. Kazi flashes away, uses the heal as well. Just a couple of auto attacks would be enough, but they can't quite get onto Kazi as he pops out the volley. The hook comes out. Banda, flash, tongue lash as Kazi trying to escape underneath his tower, but cannot get away.
That was a 3 versus 4 fight that Rogue actually won, and then the cleanup just came through from Larson. The gold advantage is massive for Rogue right now. I feel like it is going to be very difficult for Mad to find their way back in, and this has just been non-stop, relentless aggression. And we kind of have to go back to what we originally talked about. What will Rogue look like against Mad? Because the sentiment around them was, they shouldn't be going to Worlds. They do not deserve a spot. The quality of their gameplay was poor. I think that coming into Game 1, they've definitely showcased what they're capable of and why so many of these players were put in the second All-Pro team at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, I think it just makes... I mean, if I'm G2, I'm actually watching this and being a little bit scared. I'll be honest. Like, this is pretty strong stuff from Rogue so far. We'll see how they continue for the rest of the series as Larson is caught out, but he dodges away. He's still able to survive here on the Lucian, and they get one. Finn takes it down. He's looking for more in a 2v1. The Call of the Forge God not quite available, but Hansama is on the chase with the Yumus. Kazi trying to back away. The volley comes out. The last embrace doesn't quite connect, but the slows are there, and Hansama continues to chase the hook. Only lands onto Banda. Humanoid gets underneath the turret, but it's being tanked up by Finn, and Hansama just goes in. Auto after auto after auto. Humanoid with the stopwatch to keep himself alive. There's the arrow, hits Hansama. Banda takes the kill.
Here comes Inspired.
And here comes Inspired, and there goes Kazi. Kaiser down for the double kill. Inspired 4-0-3 now on this Evelyn.
And so earlier I said this is an uncharacteristic performance from Inspired, and that's because we don't typically see him on the carry junglers, but he looks like a natural. Of course, he was gifted that early advantage by Shadow, but he took advantage of it beautifully. Now level 14 on the Evelyn, the second highest level in the game. Rogue have just dominated here in Game 1.
It's actually just, it's a little dirty right now. Should take it to the laundromat, clean it up for the next game, hopefully, as Mad Lions have to clean up quite a few bits of their play. Baron secured by Rogue, 21 minutes in. They have a 9,000 gold lead, and Shadow did what he could with the Rift Herald, charged in a couple of turrets, got a couple of towers in the bottom lane, but Larson's now on the chase, and Shadow does have flash. How many wards has he got?
They know where he is, though, and look, he's going to get interrupted, isn't he? Yeah.
Where he interrupted himself. Yes. Here comes the Tom Kench. Shadow, how'd you get out of this one? Well, good Dragon's Rage kick will knock Larson back. Vander still on the chase.
Has the stone plate.
Has the stone plate, has the tongue lash. Shadow has a flash and gets to the lantern. Dawning Shadow won't connect, so Shadow gets out. Had to burn his flash to do it.
Yep, he certainly does. Again, very uncharacteristic game from Shadow. And I think the craziest thing is, when we saw the game series versus Schalke rather, he lost on set, he immediately went to his Lee Sin, and he had like a stellar Lee Sin performance. Yep. And it was like, it was a huge confidence game for Shadow, because like, okay, you struggled in Game 1, but you immediately bounce back in Game 2, and then you ride that momentum throughout the rest of the series. Game 1, he's already brought out his comfort pick, and he's just been shut down. And admittedly, a lot of these players have been through his own mistakes, his over-aggression. But here's hoping that this doesn't just break him for the series. We'll see as the ultimate from Twisted Fate comes through.
Destiny comes down, as you say. Humanoid with the gold card locked in was looking for the chase, but can't quite get there. We have just seen the first item of the game for Arome. He's finished his Trinity Force now on the Camille. But he's an item and a half behind the Ornn. He's an item and a half behind the Evelynn and behind the Lucian. Like, when we were in draft and you talked about the power of Mad Lions in the side lanes, they've never had the chance to put anyone in the side.
They had to get ahead early, right? That was the whole game plan. One of my concerns was, how are they going to get ahead? What lanes do they attack exactly when you have an Ornn in the top side of the map, when you have the Tahm Kench center in the bot? They just haven't been able to do it, and Rogue, meanwhile, they've been utilizing their early pressure well. They've been finding good fights. They're currently 15 kills to 4. Mad have tried to find picks, but look, Finn just doesn't take any damage.
Engaging onto a guy with an Infernal Mask and Sunfire Cape? Sunforge Cape? I can't remember. Forge Fire Cape. That's what the name of the upgrade one is. He's almost got his locket next so he can get the Circlet of the Iron Solari. Just not going to do damage to an Ornn right now as they look for the second tower in the mid lane. Inhibitor in the bottom lane has already fallen. The Shadow hits a Sonic Wave, but only onto Vander. You can see the engage coming in as the Call of Ford God lands. There's the last caress as well, and Kazi's being chased down. Last Embrace will lock him in place, and there's another 2 kills for Larssen. The Inhibitor on the menu. There's a cannon minion there for Rogue to escort to the base. Shadow trying to do some fancy footwork, trying to keep the cannon minion aggroed onto him, but there's only so much you can do. Currently getting chased out by the Tahm Kench, looking to make a meal of this as Inspired continues to chase him away. 4-level advantage on Inspired over his lane opponent, and right now this has been an absolute demolition from Rogue. First in the regular season and making a statement as to why they deserve to fight for first in the playoffs here as they destroy Mad Lions in game 1.
Whew. Statement game from Rogue to start off this series. I think that they showcased a bit of variety, a bit of the same stuff, but ultimately they demonstrated a much stronger performance than what they showcased before. Much cleaner League of Legends, and definitely what we expected more of from Rogue coming into the regular season. Of course, this is a long series. You can see that smile still on the faces of Shadow. He probably recognizes that was definitely not a great game from him. But again, I expect Shadow to bounce back. These young rookies, they're very hungry, they're very eager. They have a lot of confidence too. So I imagine we're going to see some big shifts in the draft. The one thing you can say for sure is Mad have very deep champion pools, and we're going to see some shakeups coming into game 2.
We definitely are. It was a mixture of happiness and kind of head in your hands, though. I do wonder if Shadow might be a little bit more frustrated with himself than he was letting on in that game, but we'll find out, because after the break, the analysts are going to tell you more about game 1 as Rogue secured a dominant win.
Charged up.
Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.
a razor, aim the cut just like a razor. Murked up in this world, my blazer. I got all the boys on me, I got all the lines on ring. Knocking dead, turning heads, I got all the eyes on me. Baby face, cut out to the wire. 유행 선두자, 원하지만 못하잖아. 애가 타잖아. You like bull, 갈리 유도 go. 난 알지, I know. 준비해, cause I like the ball. 멈추지 않아. 만날래, 그게 like a bag. 그거 말고 bye. 믿어봐, 그만큼 크게. 어깨 펴고 high. 100% 덤비지 못해. 죽여주잖아. 나는 boss, 간지 with the sauce. 원하면 줄게. I'm doing damage when just how I planned it. I do what I want when I say. 모든 날 따라해, 난 끝내주잖아. To live on the edge of insane. Coming at you like real, real wild. Here to light it up, set the world on fire. Gonna break rules and hearts and tools, cause that's what the baddest do. I never going back, nah, nah, that. Diamonds on drip, cause I came to make a splash. Gonna break rules and hearts and tools, cause that's what the baddest do. It's crazy. Sorry for the bad news, sorry I'm so bad. Only took a minute for me to get what you had. Sorry for the bad news, no it makes it sad. Live for a minute, baby, you should pack your bags. Without a look, should be breaking the law. If I don't got it, I take what I want. My circle small like a round of applause. You know that I love the sound of applause. You know I mean everything that I say. When you see me coming, get out of the way. Back in this lane, back and I'm better and ready to stay. I'm doing damage when just how I planned it. I do what I want when I say. 모든 날 따라해, 난 끝내주잖아. To live on the edge of insane. It's crazy. Sorry for doing the best. 언제든지 내가 the next. Look at the goal, all on my chest. Look at the goal, call it a flex.
Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. Rogue looked like a brand new team in Game 1, the team that finished first in the summer season, and they completely destroyed the Mad Lions. As with every game, we start with picks and bans. So let's take a look at the draft order. And Kadril, I want to jump straight to you because you predicted Rogue to win this series. Tell me what you think of the draft and then, Mad's response.
Well, I like their adaptation. They played against Fnatic. They did the exact same thing. Okay, we're going to copy your homework, but not make it too obvious, right? So they just take the exact same draft almost with the Lucian and the Evelynn. I think it works. I mean, Inspired is one of the best Evelyns in the EU. I think the Lucian first pick kind of gives away their plan for the rest of the series, unless they can play something like the Tristana mid, which I think if Mad Lions try to adapt and ban it out, it could come out. But I think the draft overall was good. The only thing I was a bit unsure on was the Graves ban, because obviously Shadow's going to pick Lee Sin. He's not played Graves the whole year, so...
Not that Lee Sin mattered.
Yeah, true.
What do you think of the draft?
I really liked it. I wasn't against anything either of the teams were doing, honestly. Perhaps, in hindsight, the only thing I would change is not picking Camille on 3, because then you have to ban the Shen and the Jax, right? Especially when you have TF. So perhaps you just, pick a different either jungle or support, or just a different champ altogether, and then you spend a ban on the Tahm Kench. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think it looks like a comfort comp for Mad Lions. They ran the Camille Galio last week. They're trying the TF Camille this time instead of round. They've got the Ashe, they've got the Lee Sin. It's pure comfort for Mad Lions. So it's a bit worrying that in Game 1 they lose with their most comfortable champs, but I like that Rogue has the Evelynn. I like that they put Finn on Ornn. And actually Finn, he got Aroma's flash level 5. This is the opposite of thing was happening against Fnatic.
Yes, absolutely the case. And I think definitely in terms of player matchup, maybe you expected. How important was the start? It was catastrophic for Mad Lions. We've got a replay that I want to pull up. And Kadril, talk me through this, because was this single play the reason that Rogue won the game, or am I, being too strong?
Well, Shadow's greeting for the second Raptor spawn, and Inspired shows up. So Shadow kind of overextended. He has no mid prio, his TF's in base, he has hardly any bot prio, he flashes out and he dies. And I think this just creates a huge domino effect for a Rogue. Larson gets first blood, he gets blue buff, he runs to mid, and Aroma just had to flash away from Finn's Ornn. So Finn probably says, oh, top has no flash, the wave's really bad. So this whole snowball effect comes in. Larson pushes out mid, he runs top, he kills Aroma, and this is all because he gets first blood, he gets a blue buff, he can shove the wave in first, he doesn't have to be scared of Shadow on the map, and yeah, 2-0 Lucian in the span of 1 minute.
Jesus, I'm going to ask the same question. Whenever I have pro players and I speak to them and you see a play like that, It's just GG, go next. Game's over. It's impossible to come back. Is that fair, or am I being overly dramatic?
Well, I feel like from Mad Lion's perspective, with their champions, it is kind of over, at least if they don't get to find picks, because it was a very early mid-game type of comp. Like, they do need to get early leads, they do need to find picks, they do need to get early dragons, perhaps even Herald, to accelerate the game. So the moment that the game kind of ends up this way, and you are not kind of, you know, just playing through your strength, which is, you know, playing through mid as 2v2 and just not respecting the early game from what are they called? Rogue?
From Rogue, yeah. And of course, the graphic that's come up, it was something that I requested just to highlight during the Fnatic series what the goal difference was, what the kills of 15 were, deaths, etc. And this is one game. It's a one-game sample size, right? But Rogue's improvement in the early game, their ability to execute, I love what Kadril said, copying Fnatic's homework.
Yeah.
But then once you copy the homework, you still have to execute, right?
Yeah.
You can see the drop, and they did that flawlessly.
I think they executed flawlessly, like you said. It's all down to Mad Lions now. Do we adapt? Do we force Rogue onto their comfort? How can we ban them out? Trying to figure out a draft plan for the next game, because I assume Mad Lions is going to go to blue side. It's going to give them some target bans to shut down this Rogue comp, but I mean, Rogue looks so comfortable on this. Inspired's a really good Evelyn. Larson seems to not be, he's like drifting away from the majors, so they're changing things up.
Before I get Jesus to answer that question, because you predicted a Mad Lions victory, one of the things you did talk about was Inspired the jungle playing a carry, not being on those dog champions. We've got a tower dive replay that I want you to talk me through.
Yeah.
What do you think when you see Larson and Inspired double teaming and seeing how well they executed this play?
Well, it just tells me that they should put Inspired on carries more. He's super proactive and he knows what he wants to do. And I feel like that benefits Larson so much. I think one of the main reasons why he was such a, seen as such a rock for the team was because Inspired was playing a lot of these dog champions and he was giving a lot of these camps to Larson, and he probably felt the pressure of the responsibility. But now with Inspired playing carries and kind of leading the charge a little bit, it makes Larson play more aggressive.
Now you have to answer the question. Will Mad Lions be able to bounce back? They've picked blue side. You see the stomp that just happened. Are you nervous at all?
I don't know, a little bit nervous maybe. But to answer Kadril's point about, Mad Lions Rogue just actually being able to execute this, copy of Fnatic. I don't know if it's really them being able to execute. I feel like it's rather just Mad Lions
allowing it to happen?
Really trolling, because obviously Lee Sin just completely trolling at enemy Raptors. And then also just Lucian, they know he's going to get prio and he's going to be moving into the top side. And Camille is just hard trading super close to the tower. And also he has the TP from his mid laner as well, who can follow. So he just has to play a little bit slower. Has to wait for his Lee Sin to come closer.
Closing thoughts, Kadril?
Yeah, Mad Lions need to shut out this comp from Rogue. They're trying to do the Fnatic. I think they adapted well when they faced him. They banned out the Evelyn, forced him onto the Karthus. So, I mean, there's Evelyn, there's Lilia, there's Karthus, there's Hecarim. So it all depends on what Rogue want to default back to. But I think Evelyn should be taken out.
Okay, Evelyn should be taken. Let's find out if this is going to happen in Game 2. Rogue started with a very different look. What kind of answers will Mad Lions have for us in Game 2? You'll find out straight off the other side of the break. That was great. Thank you. That was awesome.
Hello and welcome back to the LEC. We are here, week 2 of playoffs. Rogue are 1-0 up versus Mad Lions, and if they win this series, if they win the next 2 games, they will face G2 next week for a chance to get to finals. Right there, mate?
Sorry, Kevin was in my ear and he was like, 3, 2, 1, magic. And it got to
Kevin,
me. Normally,
you keep ruining it.
Normally he just says 3, 2, 1 and go, and that's what I was expecting.
I'll break this side of the desk as well, Kevin. Okay?
Caught me off guard, right? Yeah, Kevin trolling us behind the scenes. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We're back for game 2. I was thinking to myself, right? Inspired went away, and you know that meme where it's kind of like your champion pool?
My champion.
My champion pool. So we saw Evelyn in game 1, and I'm like, okay, are we going to see Karthus? Are we going to see Hecarim? Or what else are we going to see? Are we going to see him like, well, I got beat by this, so this is clearly the strongest right now.
Larson did the same thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, we have the Lucian lock-in as well. All right. Well, I'm really curious as to how the drafts are going to be adapted. We're going to be jumping in soon. We're definitely going to need to see some shifts from Mad Lions. I believe they are now on the blue side. Because they did lose, they get choice of side selection, and they're going to be looking to bounce back in this series. It was not a great performance in game 1. It was a very one-sided stomp. And I know that Mad Lions have more in them and are capable of more. I think that Shadow was a huge detriment to the team in game 1, and I'm sure he's looking to bounce back in game 2. So we'll see what champion he gets put on. We'll see whether he's going to be on Comfort or if he's going to bring out something different this time around.
And that's the thing, right? Because he was on Comfort last game, and you summed it up really well. It's when they were losing before against Schalke, they then put Shadow onto the Lee Sin, put him onto something he was comfortable with, and he was able to pop off. But where do you go when you lose on Comfort? Like, do you have those other picks? Do you have something strong that you can be like, okay, I can still carry on this? Or do you even stick for the same champion and run it back with the Lee Sin? We will find out in this draft as Mad Lions on the blue side, as you say, Rogue on the red side. Mad, the expectation is that you get rid of, some of the more powerful picks. The Lucian, for example, is going to be removed. We'll see if Rogue decide to stick with the Lilia, Akali, Hecarim bans that they went through before. Instead, they say, well, we're red side, so we have to get rid of the Caitlyn. Oh, Mad Lions having none of this. Like, hey guys, Fnatic gave you
Get back on your Azir, Larson.
Give me Azir, Sejuani, and we know how to beat that.
Yeah, well, Mad Lions definitely taking away some things that Rogue had a lot of success with in the last game. The Gangplank also going to be banned away. Ashe is the expected first pick for Mad Lions, I imagine, and then Rogue going to respond with the Senna.
Good job so far.
I'm not taking any praise for that. I think that's like the most predictable
of the current
meta. Yeah, I imagine that's going to be the Senna.
Oh,
Hecarim, okay.
That's nice. I like that. Still sticking to the self-made school of champion decision-making. But Hecarim is obviously a very strong pick. We haven't really seen Inspired play it at all during the regular season. I'm just checking to see if he played it in playoffs. He has yet to play it in summer.
We're seeing a different Inspired in this series today. Looks like we might see a slightly different Shadow as well if he does lock in this Graves. Not really known him for his Graves performances during the regular season.
I think it's one of those champions that I can see how it would work for Shadow, though. Like,
carry jungler, yeah.
Carry jungler, a lot of agency, a lot of ability to influence the map, and can be, one of those hard carries when the game goes on. So I'm not too surprised by it, but as you say, not something we see Shadow on too often. In fact, I don't think we've seen him play it all of summer.
So, I know for a fact that Mad Lions love to lock in Renekton when they're going against champions that like to dive. Hecarim, obviously a very strong champion when it comes to trying to dive onto the backline. And I think that Renekton is one of those champions that, hey, if you're going to close the gap, then it just makes things easier for him. He can provide a lot of peel. And if he does get access to the backline, he does have more than enough damage to shut them down. But Rogue going to respond with the Shen for Finn in the top lane. Definitely think that this could be a pretty solid matchup. Obviously, in the early game, you're not going to get that same level of prio. But I think that thanks to this Spirit's Refuge, you can mitigate a lot of the damage that Renekton is able to dish out. And we'll see how Finn handles himself as we move into the second phase of bans.
I mean, the Shen also gives you a second dive threat, because as soon as the Hecarim dives in, you chuck that Stand United onto him. and you can have two beefy bruisers on the back line. Lots of mid lane bans coming out here though. LeBlanc removed by Rogue. Orianna gonna get taken away as well. Wonder if we'll see the Twisted Fate ban, the Azir ban, you know, some of these picks.
I think Rogue should consider banning Nautilus, if I'm being honest.
Yeah?
Just because I think that when you look at Mad's comp, right now the only engage they have is the Ashe. And I think that Naut would be really good at providing a lot of peel. They're going to take away the Taric to mitigate some of the burst. We saw this from G2 yesterday. I think that it was great, especially against dive comps. What I think is very cool about Taric is because, again, the more you're hitting, the more heals that you're able to get off. So when you're diving onto them, it obviously makes it very easy for Taric to make utilization of that. And it can provide a lot of very effective peel. So they're going to remove that one. But now I really think that Nautilus, Nautilus needs to be prioritized here because I think it would have been a perfect pick for the Mad Lions. Of course, their usual response here is the Leona. I think that Leona doesn't have the same level of peel that a Nautilus can have when it goes up against dive. So we'll see how Mad Lions put. Maybe they'll choose to go for something like the Lulu, but I'm a little concerned about running Lulu into things like a Nautilus, especially with a Hecarim on there as well. Can be good depending on the circumstances, but they're going to stick to the classic. They're going to stick to what they know. And now Mad Lions have to blind pick a mid laner. Wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Zoe come out from Mad Lions right now. I think that it's something that Humanoid has had a lot of success with in the past, with things like the Orianna and the Azir already banned out. I think that it can fit very nicely into this composition that Mad have drafted.
Nice little prediction there, Vedius, as you say. Zoe for Humanoid. Just having a look, I don't actually think he's played it in Summer. Although he has had success on it previously, it doesn't look like it's a pick that he has really utilized in the last few months.
But I do remember him being quite an avid Zoe player.
No, he's a very good Zoe player, I think in spring. But he just hasn't really picked up the champion since then.
Okay. Well, it looks like Rogue looking to find an answer, and it will be the Syndra lock-in. So a bit of a powerful mid laner, can set up very strong ganks. I think the Syndra Hecarim can be pretty potent, but something that Ender talked a lot about yesterday was that when you're playing carry scaling junglers, typically what you need is strong agency in the lanes. Priority is so important because of what you're able to do with it. And I think the scary thing for Rogue is that it can be very easy for the Zoe to get early prio in mid. I think that it's possible for Mad Lions to get prio in bot as well. So I think that Mad Lions have actually got themselves a pretty solid draft to give Graves options to actually invade, get into the enemy jungle, and try and put this Hecarim behind. The question is, will Shadow flounder like he did last game, not utilize his prio properly and get punished for it, or will he be able to find those advantages and shut down Inspire to prevent him from being the carry like it was in game 1?
And I think for Shadow, it is really a defining moment. You really want to win this, otherwise you are 0-2 down with a place in the finals weekend on the line. Level 1, Shenanigans. Currently, Mad Lions all together in the bottom tribush. The thumbs up comes out from Kaiser.
We're casting golf now,
Subpar plays. Hey, I would love to cast golf.
Yeah.
Because that feels like a job where you can sit around, you can slowly sip your tea. Something happens, as long as you react to it in the next 5 minutes, you're pretty golden.
Hey man,
pretty golden.
I don't watch enough golf to know what it's like to cast golf. So I can't really comment. What I can say is that this is a bit of a slow early game. I do expect a lot of the action to come largely from the junglers. You know, we talked a lot about priority, who's going to get that push, where are they going to get it, and how are the junglers going to utilize it. You will notice, if you draw your attention to the summoner spells, that double cleanse is being run on the side of Rogue. I think this makes a lot of sense when you're playing against Ash Arrow, Leona, and the Zoe bubble. So, like the respect being shown, but of course, fewer teleports, slightly weaker 2v2 in the bot lane. And as I say that, already we see a level 1 invade coming out from Shadow.
I love it from Shadow. Dashes across the wall just to get the damage onto Inspired. He's going to chase him all the way out of the jungle. Kaiser and Kazi are facing off against Hansummer and Vander, who are currently winning out on that trade, but this is going to be Wolves and a blue buff over to Shadow. It's a par 3, and currently He's on his second stroke of the match. That was a bit of golf terminology for you there, Vedius.
So this is kind of going as we expected. Honestly, I expected a little bit later, but I like how Shadow utilized his early power on the Grave to just bully the Hecarim out. Hecarim cannot really challenge you this early on, neither can the Senna. So Mad, recognizing they have a very powerful 3-man unit, they can do the delayed invade, and now they put Inspired a little bit behind. The question is, will Mad choose to split the map, or will Shadow look to immediately rotate over to his blue? You can see that there is a little ward sitting on top of the blue buff, so they will have information as to whether or not Inspired chooses to do that split map, but the risk that they have, as a mid gank does happen, but not much is going to come off the back of that, the risk that they have is you'll notice in the top lane, the push is coming through from Arome. There was pressure being set up in the mid lane as well, and there's pressure in the bot as well. And this is what we were talking about. Early priority gives junglers so much agency and control, and it makes it harder for Inspired to do what he wants. So Shadow, he's going to take away the blue, he takes away the wolves, he's going to pick up his own blue, and this is going to put Inspired very far behind.
The question is, how quickly can Inspired get down towards this bottom side of the map? There's a Grump available for him. There'll be a Scuttle Crab in just a few moments' time as well. So he does have some camps to farm there.
The problem is, he might not even get that Scuttle Crab, because what we've often seen is bot lanes with their priority will actually rotate up and take the Scuttle Crab themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Kazi and Kaiser rotate up, but you can see how aggressively Vander's posturing, suggesting that a gank is on the way.
Hook lands onto Kaiser. He's just going to be able to back away. Hans Summer and Vander just farming up here underneath the turret. As you say, Inspired was waiting just around the corner, and now it looks like Mad are just going to go for the double scuttle. And we said we wanted Mad to use the priority they have in the lanes to put Inspired behind. Well, that is exactly what they're doing right now.
Yep. Very good early gameplay, definitely a different look from Shadow. Game 1, just a blip on the radar as they're continuing to dominate in this early laning phase. And I find it quite funny that Shadow has literally just walked through mid lane and just been like, nice day, have a wonderful day. Just going to keep on going with my jungle camps, thank you very much. And Rogue really can't do anything about it. Now, of course, that's not resulting in any significant gold discrepancies coming out on either side, but this will start to mount up. You can already see an XP difference between Shadow and Inspired, but those camps are going to respawn, and then Shadow's going to be able to pick those up much earlier and keep the pressure on Inspired pretty consistently during this early game. Means he can get that level 6 first, delay the playmaking opportunities from Rogue, and ultimately try and keep them on the back foot.
What we did just see is Larssen understanding that they have been set behind a little bit in the jungle, actually pushing in here, getting a control ward in this bush, and then a further ward on the wolves to try and just track Shadow as much as possible. Finn going in, didn't use the flash taunt, instead just allowed Arome to flash away, but this gives Inspired the opportunity to do some counter jungling of his own.
Yeah, they have information, and they're able to steal away from things, but now Mad looking for a play, TP as well.
Oh, that was beautiful! Oh, we need to see a replay of that, because Vander actually stopped the Zenith Blade with a hook so that then Kaiser was not in range to auto-attack for the stun. Like, that is next level Nautilus play there. That's actually really impressive.
They also use the Curse of the Black Mist, deny Arome a target to actually dive on top of, and if it can quickly pan up towards the top lane, assuming no action's going to happen, yeah, I believe this wave is now bouncing towards Finn, which means that Arome's dominance during the early laning phase is kind of screwed now, because initially the Shen took an early replay. We're going to get a look back for you, Medic. You can break this one down.
So watch this. Kaiser is about to go in with the Zenith Blade, and usually as a Nautilus here, it's actually quite difficult to do anything. He chucks out the hook, knocks airborne Kaiser, pushes him far enough away that then the Shielded Daybreak, the stun, can't connect. That is actually just next level play there from Vander. Hook's going to try and get him away as he gets into the Curse of Black Mist. Humanoid coming in, has the Proto Belt stolen away, the flash from Hansama into the cleanse, but Humanoid continues to chase and gets first blood in the bottom lane.
Wow, Mad were really committed to killing Hansama and Vander there, and they were able to make this one work out. Now Shadow is on the top side of the map. We'll run into Inspired.
Inspired doesn't have a huge amount of mana here. You can see with that devastating charge, he's actually run out of it completely, and now Finn is stuck underneath the tower with a not very healthy horse. However, Larsen's on his way up, has the unleashed power. And this, you could greed a little bit for it. Shadow gonna go across to the blast cone. Larsen realizing perhaps they're trying to collapse on him as here comes Humanoid once again. Larsen gets the knockback, has to dodge away from the Battlestar, but can't do it. Flashes from the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, lands another sphere, but Larsen is chased down the barrier. Might be enough as Shen Ultimate, in fact, as the damage comes down and Shadow goes down. I was wondering where on earth the barrier came, but Finn in time with the stand united.
Yeah, really good ultimate there from Finn. Of course, he will lose a bit of farm on the top side of the map, but that was worth it because Shadow committed very hard to trying to get that kill, and it does not pay off. You can see that Mad trying very desperately to force a lot of plays in the early game. They've committed 2 TPs towards bot. They heavily committed to an invade in the enemy jungle, and so far it's only resulted in 1 kill, but the goal is still very even. Rogue feeling very comfortable, especially now that Inspired is actually ahead in terms of farm.
Has picked up his Sheen first item, not even completed the jungle item yet. Will note though, Rogue no longer have the global pressure of a Shen. He doesn't have teleport, it's only halfway out of its cooldown. The Stand United was just used, so if Mad are able to find a pick, find a play, they know that Finn won't be able to work his way down there. Of course, Arome can't do it either because he doesn't have anything available on this Renekton. Continues to trade in the top lane against Finn. Finn trying to use that passive, use the shielding, use the dash to keep Arome busy, to keep him at bay, but Arome is winning out on these trades. Still stacking up that cull. Let's look where we are in terms of items across the board. Kazi has a Bilgewater Cutlass complete on the Ashe, as expected, and Hansama on his way to the Manamune, but is still quite a way away.
Shadow will be able to steal away that red buff, as the observers highlighted for us. First Drake is on the board. A bit of a late take, if I'm being honest, 8 minutes into the game. Typically, this is where you'll see Rogue actually swap and play for an early Herald, but Shadow kind of ahead of the curve here, going to look to solo this one out as mid is being pushed, and so is top lane. You can see on your minimap, going to draw your attention to the Senna that is slowly making her way towards this objective, but Zoe's acting as interference, trying to stop any Rogue members from interfering from the Graves solo take. So kind of recognizing what Rogue typically do and having a good answer. Ignite comes down.
Oh, that's just so... It was an Ignite from the passive as well. It wasn't even like a proper Ignite there from Humanoid. He's just trying to put a little bit more damage down in the top lane. Rift Herald is now secured, and Hansama might feel like he's on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, the play now is to go straight to Drake, I think. You know where the Rogue players are on the top side of the map. You have a wave pushed in bot. You also have the Rift Herald. Right, but he's actually just going to focus on taking his topside camp. He's going to hand the blue off over. I felt like there was a really easy window there where he could have just gone straight to Drake. Maybe there's something that I'm missing, but based on the state of the map and with the information that Mad had, I feel like they could have just made that quick rotation.
I feel like they can still do it around now, actually. They've kept their bot lane down towards the bottom side of the map. Arome being very sneaky here. I don't think he wants to make a play. This is more just Alcove Gaming. He's trying to get himself away as Hansama and Vander will retreat from the lane as well. Roman's actually going to stay around. Now he's spotted. And yeah, Vander and Hansama are like, oh, there he was all along. Crocodiles can bounce out from anywhere, Vedius. I've actually been playing a new game, an MMORPG called New World. It's like in preview at the moment. And it's crazy where the Crocodiles can come from. As the dive comes in the mid lane, and it looks like Humanoid might die as Finn. Trying to collapse on him. Humanoid very speedy from the more sparkles, but Inspired should be able to get him underneath the tower.
Well, no Crocodiles in that play, but Rogue certainly trampled Humanoid down with some horsies and ninjas, and they are able to get themselves a kill. This will now stop Mad from being able to properly set up for this Mountain Drake, and it will give Rogue priority over the mid lane and a bit of safety as they look to secure this objective. And I think that, like, this is a missed opportunity for Mad, in my opinion. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world, of course, losing that first Drake, but I think that there was a window where, because they were resetting, because they were delayed, they were a little slow in terms of setting up for that objective. Rogue are going to take that one away. And again, gold's still very even. I feel like that, again, I don't kind of want to keep harping on about Mad, but they were so well set up in the early game to keep the pressure onto Inspires, but because of some of the decision-making and the plays that they ended up making, it feels like that Inspired hasn't really suffered from what could have been a massive early game deficit. So here we can see Inspired and Finn, good flash torn, the Senna ultimate comes through as well. Humanoid does burn his flash and he gets some of the bonus movement speed from his W, but unfortunately it's not quite enough to escape from the ghosted up Inspired and Finn that were able to run him down, secure the kill, and secure the first Drake of the game.
Rogue, as you say, pretty even on gold now. I will note that Finn is miles behind Arome in terms of CS. 36 down on this Shen. Has just been moving around the map a lot, trying to play with his team. You can see he is about 800 gold behind. So he's in a bit of a deficit. Larson still topping the gold charts as expected on this Syndra, with the Illuden's Echo now complete. And with Mountain Drake down, with Rift Herald still being down, you expect it's going to be a little while before either of these two teams try to force another fight.
Looks like it for now. They're just going to try and secure themselves some early plates. The Rift Herald is going to be running out soon. Shadow needs to make a decision as to where he's going to invest. I think bot lane will be the play, given that we can see the Ashe pathing towards that side of the map. You'll notice that Finn recognizes he could be in some danger, so he's going to disengage. Graves hovering as well. And using the Rift Herald, they can actually just take that tower completely. So that'll be a lot more gold into the back pocket of Kazi, setting up this Ashe for success, get that early Blade of the Ruin King completed. And then Mad can start looking for picks, start roaming around the map, utilizing this Ashe Hour a little bit more.
I want to see that pick potential. You know, you have the arrow into the collateral damage. It's just so powerful with the Solar Flare as an initiation tool if you need it. Mad want to start to try and find some of these connections, because for the moment they are 1 kill to 2 down and only a small gold lead ahead.
So I want to draw attention to the fact that Kazi did not immediately clear that wave. He actually waited for the next wave to arrive, and this is the basic concept in pro play of stacking a wave. Rather than hitting a tower with 1, he's now actually hitting a tower with 2, plus the Rift Herald, making this push harder to stop, but Rogue forced the engage.
Humanoid has TP, so does Arome, and the engage comes in. You can see the damage already down as Kazi's going to fall, and Larssen can just open up straight onto Humanoid. The Unleashed power is being used, and Humanoid just about able to survive, but Inspired's got a double kill, and there's the third as Humanoid falls. Arome in the midst of it all has to retreat underneath his tower, and, well, Mad knew it was coming, and Rogue didn't care at all. They just totally destroy Mad in the bottom lane.
Surprised that Larssen didn't actually get the stun there, but a really good force coming out from Rogue. The game plan was clear from Mad. Stack up the waves, use the Rift Herald, drop it down, get all that money onto Kazi, and because he got a little too close to the turret, Vander saw his opportunity to force the engage. Notice that Larssen already on the way down as well. Flash ultimate onto Kazi, the ultimate already coming down onto Inspired, and here's that dive combo that you can see with the Shen, the Hecarim. Kazi doesn't even get to move. Leona not providing that same peel as something like a Tarek typically could. Meanwhile, on the top side, Larsen's able to get that kill out onto Humanoid, and then Rogue just chasing down the stragglers. Really good engage from Rogue. Now they're 5 kills to 1.
Yeah, and Inspired is so big now. Look at that, second highest damage in the game on that last fight. And at the start, we said, hey, Shadow seems to be more comfortable. He's getting this early lead. They stole away the blue. Mad Lions had all of this advantage. And it's just fallen by the wayside. Rogue scaling. They have power in this Syndra. They have power in this Hecarim. And they are looking to secure their spot in the finals weekend. Of course, the winner of this series plays up against G2 next Saturday, but also secures a spot in Worlds groups. The loser of this is in play-ins. The winner goes to groups. And getting that extra time to prep, getting that extra time to boot camp can be so influential on a good Worlds run.
It certainly can be. Or the play-ins buff could come into it.
Oh yeah, sure.
You know, that's the interesting thing about Worlds.
I'm gonna say, Vetti, I think most teams would pick going into groups rather than play-ins.
They definitely would. In any case, still a long series left to go. Rogue currently have the advantage with the 1 game up, but the game's still very close. Rogue found a very good fight there, but you'll notice that the gold is still very even. Some big items have come through from Mad. They're going to be trading towers on the top side of the map, and of course, when we get to these fights, I do think the Rogue inherently have the advantage, but Mad have a lot of damage threats. They have the Renekton to act as when Rogue dive in, he's going to have easy access onto these frontline targets, and if Mad can just play straight up front to back, I think that there are ways in which they can come back into this game. Arrow comes through.
Only hits onto Vander. Hans Summer using Curse of Blackness to try and get away. Inspired coming in from the side as well, but he's going to dive into a 4v1. Has to jump away. The Zenith Blade connects. There's a Dawning Shadow for a bit of a shield. Shadow down to 200, but already Humanoid's got a kill. And now Mad can continue on the offensive. Larssen coming in, though. He's going to get through the bush. Knocks the Scatter the Weak back. The Unleashed power comes out onto Kazi, but look at Kazi. He's doing so much work. Almost kills Larssen and survives. Mad Lions with an incredible fight in the topside jungle.
All right. Ooh, good damage coming out from Humanoid, but not going to quite get that kill on to Hans Summer. You know, EU Ashe was a bit of a meme, but I feel like we got a couple of good Ashe players now. Kazi's positioning and execution of the Ashe there was flawless. If it weren't for that Shen ultimate, Larssen almost certainly would have died. And when we get the replay up, we can highlight some of the missteps I feel that we actually got from both sides, because you'll notice here that Shadow hard commits to this engage onto Hans Summer. Actually puts him in a bit of a detrimental situation as he really fumbles the execution here. Inspired comes in looking to shut him down, but then Kaiser comes in with the clutch, flashes in, provides the chain CC, and allows Mad to get that initial kill. Then here we see that Vander's actually going to use his stopwatch, and that means that Larssen doesn't have the body block. He flashes in, takes that huge amount of damage from Humanoid rather, and that's what gives Kazi the opportunity to actually rail onto Larssen, preventing the Shen from getting into the fight and instead being forced to use the ultimate to keep his mid laner alive. So couple small missteps there that Mad were actually able to take advantage of. And again, huge props to both supports doing everything that they could.
Great play there from Mad. They are going to secure their second Rift Hold of the game. We'll note an Infernal Dragon went over to Rogue while all of that was happening. So they are on a clock. As you said earlier on, it is quite a late Dragon clock, you know, 17 minutes, looking at 26, 27 before we really get up towards that Ocean Soul. But we've already seen how powerful Ocean Soul can be across the course of the weekend. In terms of items though, Kazi's finished his Blade of the Ruin King. Luden's now finished on Humanoid. Got a needlessly large rod to back it up. Finn has completed his Titanic Hydra. Still 76 CS behind the Renekton. Just a tad, just a small sum. It is but a scratch of a CS differential.
I mean, Finn's like, all right, my job in this game is to ult, to Spirit's Refuge stuff, and to taunt people.
Look at the gold difference, though. He's 2,100 gold behind.
I mean, that's what the gold deficit is coming from right now. You know, that's why I think the gold gap is a little deceptive, because even though Rome is much farther ahead, I think that Finn can still offer a huge amount of value in these fights. Inspired has now just hit level 11, which is going to be huge, because he's going to have that second point in his ultimate. And with the Trinity Force done, he's going to be a huge threat onto the backline. So I think these upcoming fights are going to be very intense. We can see right now Mad setting up for Kazi to push in the bot wave. He's also going to have the Rift Herald to help support him. And Madline's just getting deep vision towards the bot side jungle.
At the moment, Larson, without teleport on this Syndra, is in a side wave. They know that he cannot affect this lane at all. So he's still up there. Mad Lion's given free reign just to push in. They will get at least one turret out of this. The Rift will probably stop before its second charge. But Shelly is having a field day. Actually going to get the second charge in here as well, because the sleep connects on Finn. Finn, you're napping on the job. Get a good sleep schedule, my man. You won't fall asleep in the middle of a fight like that again.
Now Mad going to be pretty happy with that trade in towers. 3-2 in their favor for the time being. Slight gold advantage. Kind of looking at neutral objectives and realizing there's not a huge number to play for. This is a window where you could be talking about maybe you want to try and freeze some side lanes. Maybe you want to try and pick up some extra farm. Unfortunately for Finn, he does have the Titanic Hydra, so it's a little harder for him to actually set up a freeze. Meanwhile, Syndra doesn't feel super comfortable after pushing in that top wave. We may actually see a Rome set up a freeze towards the top side of the map right now, depending on what Mad's next goal is. They could look towards playing for the mid tower. Let's have a look. He is not looking to freeze at all. He's like, nope, I am not doing that.
It's the epitome of the dog in a burning building. He's like, this is a freeze?
I think that, I mean, if he's pushing this wave out, it suggests to me that Mad is looking to play for the mid-tier 1, because he's going to try and hard shove this towards the tier 2, then move through the top side jungle with Graves, who's going to hand over that blue buff to the Zoe, and then they're going to deny as much vision and maybe look to find a pick as Rogue is playing towards the bot side of the map.
Yeah, Rogue are playing towards this next Ocean Dragon. A minute 40 on it. They have a couple of control wards in their inventories that can scatter those. A little, you know, dusting of control on this bottom side river, and they're going to reset now and try and get some more. Larson pushes in the bottom wave. Unsummer catches in the mid, and Mad use their little chance here to get in towards this river and get some control for themselves. Of course, with the Ocean Dragon being alive, there's more pushes, there's more places to hide, but with Hawkshot, Kazi can keep them relatively safe as they do go for some of these face jacks.
So the game pretty neutral, definitely not as one-sided as it was in Game 1. Again, at the beginning of Game 1, we talked a lot about how Rogue have something that they want to prove, and again, I think that they've showcased that they can go toe-to-toe with some of the best that we have here in Europe. I still have some question marks around Shadow's performance. Like Game 1, he wasn't exceptional. He got bullied a lot. He made a lot of small mistakes, and I think that Shadow could have pushed his advantage in the early game, and he's had a couple of execution errors here in Game 2, but still, a lot of the series left, and we'll see how he progresses. A young player, a lot of young players on both sides going to be going to Worlds for the first time. Europe, of course, does have this tendency of sending rookies to Worlds and accomplishing quite impressive feats. Hopefully we get to see the same thing coming into this year, but so far both these teams have showcased some good stuff. Let's see as we set up now for the next Ocean Drake.
And it is Rogue who have total control of the river right now. The Hawkshot goes across towards the Wolves, doesn't really spot out Rogue. Finn is in the bottom lane, teleport used by Arome to rejoin the battle, but Inspired now in the pit. Shadow doesn't have any vision in here, doesn't have a control ward to put in. The Scrying Totem comes down, but Mad get it cleared out straight away. Shadow dives into the back of the pit, trying to get into that bush, but he's been spotted out. Finn Now looking to step forward, can be a key engage tool alongside Vander. The Dragon down to 4,000 HP. Arome trying to dash forward. Paddle Star doesn't connect. Dragon resets. Mad once again looking for this fight because they don't want to get off Soul Point. The knockback onto Kaiser. As he goes low, Inspired still just scything away at the Dragon, looking for the smite bite. Shadow dives in. There's the unstoppable onslaught. They're trying to dive onto the backline. The Storming Shadow comes out and it's Inspired who gets it. Arome dives in, but he goes down straight away. Rogue get the Dragon, get a kill, and get the hell out.
Yeah, it's very difficult for Mad to actually force any kind of fight. The double cleanse on the side of Rogue doesn't even get expended, and it felt like that Mad were just going for the 50-50 on the Drake rather than committing to any sort of engage. Rogue end up coming out on top, and while they are still at a gold deficit and lose that mid-tier 1, they're currently at 3 Drakes. So let's see. You can see that Kaiser sitting at the back line, doesn't use his ultimate just yet. Now it comes through to try and help steal away the Drake, but Inspired's able to just lock that one down at the very last second. Arome now finds himself in the middle of 5 Rogue players. I wasn't quite able to catch where that Kazuya ultimate went down to, but it clearly wasn't impactful as Rogue didn't really feel threatened at all. And I think a lot of that came off the fact that Humanoid wasn't able to land any initial poke at the start of the fight. Rogue staying just out of arm's reach of that Zoe damage. And on top of that, Kaiser being chunked out so heavily meant that a large part of the front line from Mad also disappeared.
And an issue for Kaiser in some of these fights is the fact that he is a primary engage tool for Mad Lions, and if he can't find a flank position, he's kind of just chucking his face forward and looking for a good solo player. And as soon as you do that, if you get hit by a single scatter the weak, you're just chunked out completely. Like, he doesn't even have Gargoyles complete yet. He's only sitting on a Negatron Cloak and a Chain Vest, so it's so difficult for Kaiser if that poke isn't hitting to really do too much more. Humanoid gets the Unleashed Power taken down onto him. Larson dived on as well as Finn comes in with a Stand United, and there's a fight in the mid lane over not really too much. Kazi opening up the range focus. The arrow connects, the Solar Flare doesn't, and Vander just about manages to flash across the wall. He will survive and no one dies.
So, a bit of a crazy skirmish in the mid lane. Well, I think just started as a bit of a back and forth between the two mid laners.
Yeah, it was the two mid laners slap fighting.
Evolved into a huge team fight with so many members getting out with blinking health bars on both sides. No one ends up dropping though. Mad still holding onto the gold lead.
I think importantly though, you can look at some of the summoners that are down, because we do have 2.5 minutes, or almost 3 minutes on the Drake. Larson no longer has flash or cleanse. Vander no longer has his flash. So with Humanoid still having a flash of his own, with Kazi still having his flash, with Kaiser still having that engage potential, actually makes it a lot easier for Mad Lions to find a pick, because they know Larson and Vander can't escape if they get locked up.
Well, that's certainly true. But for now, Mad are not going to force anything. They know that the Drake is still a ways away, and they're just focusing on farming up, looking for potential picks. Remember that a fight this early on could result in a Baron as well, but Mad are just going to be quite content with stealing away these jungle camps, trying to keep Inspired away from getting any more gold.
He's still in a really good position. Like, he's got completed Warrior, he has Trinity Force, like, the Hecarim is still going to do a lot of damage, and Larson is being funneled in a side lane. This is what we see Rogue do, right? They are so good at just saying, hey, Larson, between minutes 15 and 30, we're just going to give you a lot of gold.
The problem is he doesn't have teleport, which then he's also the wave clear, which means that Mad have easy access onto this tier 2, and they're going to take this one away for free. Kaiser goes in.
There's the Solar Flare, Dawning Shadow coming out, but Finn is there in time. Inspired's already down. As Shadow goes down, Kaiser able to get the stopwatch off. Kazi able to survive as well, and Larson late to the party.
Reasons why you can't just send your mid laner to a side lane. Like, it was so easy for Mad to just force that engage, especially without any cleanses available on Hans Armor. It meant that the dive could come through, they get a quick kill onto Inspired. They don't convert it into the tier 2 tower though. Larson was able to recall, get back into mid in time, and it will just be a kill going in favor of Mad. But it's something Rogue have to respect. Like, you can't just send Larson off to a side lane when you don't have TP, because things like this will happen.
Rogue might have to respect it, but they respectfully disagree with you right now, as it looks like Larson's going to go down towards the bottom lane.
This is fine. Like, a situation like this is okay, because he's just going to shove that out. The problem is if you... So, all right.
Show us, mate.
So, the thing is, there are, like, lines, right, on the map, where, like, if you cross a certain point, then you've overextended. So this is the usual line, right, which is basically just the river. And once you've crossed this line, so you can see, look. Notice that the Renekton is backing right now because the wave is now going past this line, and because he doesn't have control over this area of the map, it is no longer safe for him to overextend. So the problem with that last play was that Syndra was pushing all the way past the line through the top side of the map. that was usually here, which meant that there was not going to be enough time for him to be able to get back to base, so Mad could just push in through mid. Now you'll notice that this bot wave is safe for them to push because they have control over this bot side of the map. So, like, it's important that you utilize where you have pressure and respect it, and I think it was a good example here of, like, Finn can now push the wave because he knows his form, but he has Shen ultimate.
Arrow comes out, Solarflare is going to hit Inspired as well. He used the Unstoppable Onslaught to try and get away. The sleep comes in. Kaiser diving onto the backline as Larssen uses the Unleashed Power, but Kaiser is still very tanky. Vander going to get dived on by Shadow. Vander takes down Kaiser, Shadow takes down Vander. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Mad Lions have total control of the river. Dawning Shadow doesn't connect. Humanoid acting as a bodyguard right now, trying to dive in. Larssen actually walked away from this fight and is now slowly making his way back in there. Ignite's being used. Rogue, they're being flanked. Arome is off towards the top side and they don't know about it. Kazi started up the Dragon. It's secured. Shadow takes it. Rogue now trying to use this time to get into the mid lane, but Humanoid's going to open up with some paddle stars and they do a huge amount of damage. Mad should just disengage this, but Humanoid has other ideas. He dives in, sleep lands onto Finn. Shadow won the flank position. And it looks like Rogue should just get out of this one.
Oh, so, Rogue do not get the Ocean Soul. Good fight that went in favor of Mad there. Kazi surviving with literally the smallest amount of HP.
He's still going.
Oh,
Humanoid.
Start the Baron off. Vander has rejoined the fight. Kaiser's on his way.
Humanoid is flanked here. Blast gun available for him, but he's knocked back to it. He still gets over the wall. That's how that works.
Wait, Shadow?
Shadow. Oh, wow. Okay, that was not good.
Shadow ends up just dying here, and this could be a free Baron going for Rogue. They're 5 men strong. Finn TPs after getting a reset off, and like, unless Humanoid makes the clutch play, there's going to be very little that they can do. He needs to get back to base, reset.
I don't think Rogue are going to do it. I don't think Rogue are going to do it.
Wait, why? They should just do Baron.
I think they don't have the quickest Baron in the world.
I mean, they don't, but I'm... All right. We can talk about that a little bit later. Let's have a look at this initial fight. So, first things first, keep an eye on Larssen in this fight and what he's able to do. Lands the stun onto Kazi, recognizes quickly, Q into ult, but the heal then comes through from Kazi. Kazi just barely survives, but Larssen does everything that he can to win this fight for his team. Vander's then soaking up damage, of course he dies, but if Kazi dies there, this is a one-team fight for Rogue, and they end up getting the Ocean Soul. Of course, because he lives, they're able to turn it around. They have better setup to be able to convert that for the Ocean Drake, and they're able to deny that away from Rogue. So clutch stuff coming out from Kazi. Good heal there, and it was a very close fight that really could have swung in Rogue's favor.
And after it, we saw a little bit of mispositioning once again from Shadow. 3-3-1 on this. Graves had a terrible Lee Sin performance in game 1. Seems to be stepping up just a little bit, but it's a game of inches sometimes in games like this, and that was, again, as you said, an uncharacteristic mistake.
We've had a couple of mechanical errors coming out from Shadow, and there, I think, like, Mad were a little split. Perhaps Shadow is setting up for a very deep flank, but then he ends up just getting collapsed on because no one is really there to assist him as Humanoid gets engaged on. And again, I think that could have been a window where Rogue decided to force the Baron. As you said, maybe they were concerned because their Baron is a little bit slow, so they don't take the risk. Instead, they reset on the map. They're going to look to play for the next Ocean Drake. And in the meantime, Mad have found an opportunity to be able to take this top down.
Will be secured by them. 1,000 gold between the two teams. We are starting to see, you know, those 2-3 item AD carries coming in now. Blade of the Ruin King and the Rune's complete for Kazi. He's on his way to an Infinity Edge, which will just make every single one of those shots rattle out the damage even more. On the other side, Han Summer has a Black Cleaver, an Edge of Night for some protection from Humanoid and from the arrows, of course, and the Manamune fully stacked up. It's completed in its Mura Mana form. Larssen has now got himself a Void Staff. Just going to be putting so much DPS down into a Gargoyles, into the Merc Treads that we already see on Humanoid, that we see on Kaiser, into the double Lockets that we are, double Aegis of protection that we are seeing from Arome and from Shadow. It is so powerful. Expect those both to be built, of course, into the Death's Dance next item. Right now, Mad trying to gain control of the jungle, and Rogue is slowly stepping in, slowly trying to regain vision in their own jungle, but with a minute and a half on the clock, a minute and a half before an Ocean Soul fight, you can sense the tension in the air, Vedius.
Yeah, Meg, you did a bit of a check-in with the items, and I think that some really big breakpoints are being hit, and the fact that the Void Staff has now just come through for Humanoid means that both mid laners are feeling very strong right now, and I think they're going to be very influential in these upcoming fights, because one of the big issues that Mad Lions have with their comp is they don't have a huge amount of access to the backline. So, as the game goes later and later, Han Summer's going to continue to get stacks, and I'll check with our observers very quickly how many stacks that she's currently sitting on. But the more she gets, the more range she's going to get, and the more front line she actually has to be able to play around, which means that because that backline access doesn't exist, Mad are going to find these fights harder and harder, which means that you rely a lot on Humanoid to be able to land poke initially, so that when you enter these fights, you have a health advantage, which is why these two mid laners are so very important.
Oh, Shadow. Oh, Shadow, oh, Shadow, oh, Shadow, oh, Shadow, oh, Shadow, oh, no! Larson was spotted out, I'm not sure. How is he out of the bush? Finn going forward, Shadow with the sidestep, and now it's actually a very good fight for Rogue as Finn flashes in. Straight on to the damage, but here's the unstoppable onslaught onto the back line as they look for the damage on Arome. Larson unleashes the power, but Arome's still alive. Now he goes down. 2 kills down. Kaiser's going to fall as well as stun. The scatter of the week from Larson was beautiful, and Kazi, Shadow, and Humanoid have to run for the wins. And it looks like Humanoid, just dodges to the side of the scatter of the week. Flash hook connects and Zoe goes down. Rogue now turn their eyes to the Ocean Dragon. Kazi, well, he blast coned over. And the Ocean Dragon is not too happy about that. Shadow could get into this bush, could steal it away. He can quick draw, he's in. They put the ward down. Shadow makes himself known. They know he's there now. I'm not sure why he stepped out and he has to quick draw back across. But he has Smite, and Rogue do not go on Shadow. Look for it. Get the steal off. Make it work. He dodges away. It's got to be down to about 3,000 HP. Rogue still doing it. Could just drag it out. No, just drag it out. Just get it out of the pit. Make it hard.
No, just stop. I think they should really just stop.
Well, they're not going to. Shadow dives in. He looks for it. He gets it! Vander swings down the anchor in the end, but Shadow did everything he could to keep Mad in the game.
Yeah, that's why I think Rogue should have just stopped. If they stopped hitting the Baron, they could have waited for Inspired to join, and then they would have been better set up to actually secure that Ocean Soul. Because they kept damaging it, it put it within damage threshold range for Shadow to be able to steal that one away. But observers, when we get the replay up, can you show us what Shadow can see? Does he actually get vision on Larson? Because it looked like initially Larson just stepped out of the brush, and that actually gave him the frame of mind to make that quick sidestep in order to avoid the taunt from Finn. We'll see if we have an opportunity for this replay as Rogue is setting up for the Baron. Shadow is still dead. And it looks like we're not going to get that replay as the Baron is going to kick off.
Yeah, with Shadow being dead, this is actually a really easy Baron call for Rogue. It's already down to 9,000 HP. Humanoid trying to do what he can, but doesn't land the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. And Mad, you got to dive in, you got to do something soon. When Rome's teleported in, and Mad, 4 members strong and now looking for the push, but you can see it's already down to 4,000 HP, and they go in. The engage with an unstoppable onslaught, the damage coming out of Rome's going to go down. Dawning Shadow, not quite enough, but he ticks, booms as Larson takes the kill. Kaiser's second on the menu, and Rogue are just sweeping Mad away in the river. Shadow, can you do something miraculous? The unleashed power has already been used, but Larson diving forward, stepping in, trying to get Mad on the back foot as they retreat back towards where their blue buff once stood. Kazi coming in. All the damage dealers for Mad are still alive, and these 3 guys could put the team on their shoulders, but at the moment, the Lion's roar looks more like a cat's, as you can see Rogue just get another kill and go back towards the Baron. Mad Lions whimpering.
Shadow's still alive though. His Smite, I believe, is coming off cooldown very soon.
Can you get into the back of the pit? The blast cone's there, but Rogue has done such a good job. Oh, Shadow dives in way too early. Dodges back out with the collateral damage. He's still alive. Kazi trying to put the damage down with the volley as well from the side, but the healing coming out from Han Summer is just too much. Shadow onto the blast cone. Finn, you're going to dash across. He's already down. The Smite comes in. Inspired secures it. Now Kazi's going to get chased out. Han Summer and Larson will go across. Kazi goes down. Shadow, we've seen you die in this position before, and I'm sorry, your fate will be the same once again. This fight, I have to feel. He's going to try and back in the bush, but Inspired, that's a devastating charge to be sure. Han Summer even puts out the last embrace to make sure that Shadow can't get away.
And it's Rogue that come out on top in the fight once again. Beautifully played from Rogue, a lot of patience, noticing that rather than go for the 50-50, they just wait for Mad to overcommit and overextend, and they're able to walk away with the Baron. Larson, now, he doesn't realize that Kaiser's sitting in the brush. Kaiser not going to use his Hex Flash to dive on top of Larson. In fact, it's Rogue who's diving on top of Kaiser.
Inspired's chasing here. Onslaught of Shadows will get the lockup onto Kaiser. The Zenith Blade, Solar Flare doesn't connect, and this might be 2. It's Humanoid's going to get chased away. Larson actually eats the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and with the Dawning Shadow coming out, that's 2 quick kills to Rogue. And yeah, this game has totally turned on its head. He has 3,000 gold lead for Rogue. They have Baron buff for the next 2 minutes. They can just try and knock in these towers.
Well, we talked about how close these fights could be. and it feels like that it's largely just coming down to execution. Rogue is stepping up on the day. Larson is having a stellar performance, and
depth charge.
Now it looks like Mad are going to get caught out again.
Knocked up in the jungle, Inspired. Pretty sure he didn't want to go that way, but the damage is unreal. Even through the QSS, Kazi is unable to survive. Now they have double cannons actually in this bottom lane. He's going to eat through these towers very quickly. Hans Summer obviously will help out just a little bit, and Larson with his empowered damage on towers, but this might just be the game. 20 kills to 7, Betty. Like, it was close until it wasn't. Rogue shellacking Mad Lions here. And this team is looking much more like the team that we saw end the regular season in first place. They are stating a claim on that finals weekend. They want a match versus G2. They want to prove that they are one of the best teams here in Europe, and they continue just to delete Mad Lions wherever they stand. Rogue with a dominant win in game 2.
All right, a little bit more tense, a little bit closer. Both teams fighting a lot over these Drakes, but while Mad Lions were able to delay and steal away some of these Drakes, it felt like that Rogue were consistently in a better position. They were able to keep the game relatively even. They were able to mitigate some of the early deficits that they found themselves in, and they just outplayed Mad in a lot of these team fights. And we talked about how these fights were going to be difficult, and I think that Rogue did a great job of recognizing where they could turn around, where they could set up these dives, and every time that they could punish the Mad Lions.
And as much as both these teams have qualified for Worlds and both these teams will be representing Europe there, this sort of series really can be a statement of intent from teams. You know, a lot of people were doubting Rogue. I for one, was like, I want to see Rogue have a good series in playoffs, because otherwise, when it comes to Worlds, I do doubt how strong they can be. But this sort of series really puts them up in my estimation.
Yeah, I mean, they should. I think that many people, at least many of the analysts, have been saying that Rogue is a team you still have to respect. Yep. You know, like, there's still a lot of young players. Yes, they were pretty rigid in their approach and style versus Fnatic, but they're showcasing they do have more picks. And while this game was a little bit slower, and I do think that Mad was set up for success 100%. In the early game. They really could have gotten a much bigger advantage. They could have snowballed. And then we didn't really see the typical Mad Lions that we usually see, where they're constantly forcing fights, skirmishes, looking for picks. And I think that they need to shift this playstyle up if they want to go toe-to-toe with Rogue, because now they're down 2 games. Their chances of getting the at the very least, third place spot at the end of the LEC season is now much further away, and they need to make the reverse sweep a reality. But right now, Rogue is looking clean, Rogue is looking good, and looking to face G2 next week.
Yeah, right now, Rogue are looking unstoppable so far in this series, and after the break, we'll get more insight from a special guest. Orange, thank you.
Our teams are so good this year.
I can't believe they actually made it.
Woo!
What? It's what champions eat.
Beko Harvest Fresh preserves vitamins for longer by simulating the natural 24-hour sun cycle. Beko, eat like a pro.
Have a bite. It's good.
Yes, it's true. I love you. Yes, I do.
Charged up.
Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
And welcome back to the LEC playoffs. Laure here, joined by Comp from Vitality to help me debrief this game. Kind of hi, Comp. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, hello.
Hey, so first things first, how are you? Are you enjoying the off season so far?
Trying to enjoy the off-season, yeah. Pepe hands.
Nice. So I called you today to talk about League again. I am sorry, but we have a really cool series ongoing. Rogue is on to match point here against Mad Lions. And I want to talk about the draft first here, if we can see it for 1 second. Especially about the adaptation from Mad Lions from game 1 to game 2. They were playing red side on game 1, blue side on game 2. And we can see that the only ban they kept is Gangplank. They removed Evelyn and Lucian after what happened in game 1. And I want to have your opinion about this. What do you think about the comp Mad Lions choose here and how it matches against a Rogue?
So basically, those two team comps pretty much are trying to play like G2 versus Fnatic yesterday, where one team plays full scaling jungler and overall really good team fighting, and the other one is really early game focused, which they want to put Hecarim behind, right? So I feel like that's how 2 games in a row now, that's what's happening. That's what Mad are trying to do, but unfortunately, it has not worked out for them well for now.
No, it didn't. And I mean, they had good engaged tools, especially to defend objective, which to me has been kind of the low point for Mad here, the defense of neutral objectives such as Dragons and Nashor. And I want to talk to you about the Baron here this game. We're going to roll the clip in a second, because you can see that Mad Lions were not not ready to take this fight. And I mean, they've been trying to go over Rogue to take the objective, and in the end, Rogue got it. So talk me through this clip and why you think Mad Lions failed here.
So, I mean, first of all, Shadow died, stealing the Drake, right? So, Rogue, knowing this information that he's still dead for some seconds and he will be far away, they know that even they don't really have really good DPS on the Nast, right? So the right goal is for them to turn, and they also probably have the information that most of Mad Lions members don't have flashes up, so it's pretty much easy to bait the Nast into engage back since Mad didn't have a lot of vision.
Yeah, and exactly. I wanted to mention the vision here. And after Rogue take the objective here, when you look at the state of the game, do you think Mad Lions could have climbed back and take the victory in the end, or was it doomed for them?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's doomed. Maybe they could find some picks, make the game like G2 and Fnatic yesterday, right? So there was for sure maybe some plays that could happen, but overall I feel like the chance of them, of how the game has developed until then, it's really hard for them to come back since, as I said earlier, I feel like they draft for a lot of early game, right? So they need to, I feel like they need to have higher leads leading into the mid game for the next games if they continue like that.
Yeah, I agree. And this is my last point here. Mad Lions will be playing blue side here in game 3. Anything you can expect from them when it comes to drafting and also in game? Any mistakes they can correct?
Yeah, so I mean, not only in game, I feel like in draft, maybe they will do like what it did to Fnatic, that they will start banning both Evelyn and Hecarim and maybe put Inspired on more of a supportive role again. But I'm pretty sure Rogue pretty much learned from the Fnatic game, and they will also have more picks, and I'm pretty sure they will continue drafting like that, carry jungler. So, I mean, the best thing for Matt is either they draft like that again and they execute better early to mid game, or they try to match carry jungler with carry jungler and see who comes out of on top.
All right, and Block Inspired also here. Okay, last question. Who wins this one? Rogue, and can they take it 3-0?
I think, yeah, Rogue will win it, but I actually think Matt still have some stuff to show, so in my opinion, it will go 3-1 for Rogue.
3-1 for Rogue. We'll see that in a few minutes, but Comp, thank you very much for joining me today, and have a wonderful off-season. We'll see you next year.
Thank you.
And we're going to take a break, and we'll come back in a few minutes for hopefully a series, otherwise Game 3. See you soon, guys.
Welcome back to the LEC Summer Playoffs, where Rogue are on the verge of a clean sweep and a spot in the semi-final next Saturday, taking on G2 Esports. I'm joined once again by my very special guest, Jezzes and Kadril. Let's talk a little bit about what we've been seeing. Jezzes, I'm going to come straight to you first because you actually predicted a 3-2 series, and I think many fans at home anticipated a stronger-looking Mad Lions, right? Shadow and Humanoid, they are just not performing up to task right now. But Mad Lions as a whole, they seem to be being outclassed. Like, what advice would you give them, or what do you want to see from Mad Lions in this third game?
I mean, the same as I said earlier. I just have to play better. But I'm actually serious about it because I genuinely feel that right now, Humanoid and Shadow are just really getting outperformed. And I don't even think it's necessarily a draft issue. Obviously, they can make a lot of things happen with draft to try to shake things up a little bit. But they're just really getting outclassed. They've tried the early aggression jungler, they've tried the matching the farming jungler, and just nothing's working.
Yeah, and I have to say, Shadow, I mean, they got the level 1 invade. He got Inspired's whole bot side camps. He had a huge lead, but then he gave up the first Drake, which I think was really disappointing. I think he had 3 lanes of prio, so Shadow and Humanoid, they just aren't moving around the map together. They're not really playmaking too much, and granted, Humanoid TP'd bot and got the kill, but I just think overall, there's just not much going on there.
I mean, let's talk about the fact that top difference in the previous game, Renekton was monstrously far ahead. We were sitting backstage and we're like, surely Rogue wins, surely Renekton can carry, and like it kind of went back and forth. You know, I know you've said a lot, it's just play better, but now we're coming into potentially the last game here for Mad Lions before they go to Worlds. Yeah. Let's turn to individuals and then start set up expectations. Mad Lions have picked blue side, so what do you want to see change in the draft, if anything?
I didn't like this farming style in the jungle. I don't think they should be matching Graves against Hecarim. I don't even think they should be playing any type of farm jungler. I think they should just go full ham. Like I said, I think they just can't match the farming jungle style. I don't think that Shadow currently is playing very smart. So I think they do rely on just matching the skill in the mid jungle, and they do rely on just out-skirmishing Rogue and out-team-fighting Rogue. So I would like them to just pick something like a Akali, perhaps ban away some of the farm junglers to make it easier for themselves, and then just pick up another early game jungler.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Jess. I think they need to change the draft in a way that first picking Ashe is working, but I just don't like the mid-jungle picks that they've been picking. I think if you look at their series last week, they were running Orianna Hecarim, they were running Akali Shen, things like this. So they definitely need to change it up. Look for an Akali first pick, and Ashe, maybe even look for the Hecarim. They're just dropping way too many of these OP picks, which have just been working for them.
So super important to call out now. Previous game, Mad Lions were blue, Rogue were red side, and Rogue did ban Akali in the first phase. Their bans were Caitlyn, Lilia, Akali. Mad Lions on blue, they went Lucian, Eve, and Gangplank. So let's see if anything pivots again. Reminder that Mad Lions selected the blue side. And we do have the oh-whoa-whoa-whoas, meaning we're jumping into draft. And Kadril, I'm going to kick this one off to you as we see the first bans coming through. Mad Lions, let's see what the first option is, and then also what is opened up for Rogue. And it's the Lucian straight out the gate, so it was Lucian, Eve, GP last time.
Yeah, I think these bans will be quick. I think don't change the bans. The bans were working for them. The GP ban is a bit arguable. Maybe you want to change that for something like the Hecarim if you really don't want to go for this farming jungle style on Shadow. But I think the bans will be similar. I think they just need to change their priorities. I think the bans are not an issue. They're shutting down Rogue nicely. They're stopping all the Hecarim ban instead of GP. I think it shuts down the farming junglers.
So first pick Akali's option here.
Yeah, I think the reason why they ban Hecarim is because they know the Akali ban is gonna come on 3. And if enemy are not gonna ban Akali, then you can just pick Akali and you don't care about the Hecarim. But they need to respect that response ban is gonna come on 3. And so they have to preemptively ban Hecarim. I think it's great.
I like this response. Just first pick the GP. If you're not going to ban it, take it away. They had 2 options essentially. First pick the Hecarim, first pick the GP. Obviously they prioritize the GP a little bit more. So the Ashe is open if Rogue want to take it, but it's going to be an Ashe Senna trade probably, right? The Orianna is open, which we've seen Humanoid pop off on. Shadow's Lee Sin is open, but it all depends on how they want to run it, because I think Inspired could also go to default back to his set if he wants to.
Yeah, I think Mad Lions just don't want to show too much. And they also just want to prioritize getting that GP, letting him play a little bit weak side so they don't have to play around him, and just make more plays around the mid jungle and just having that ulti as well. Because obviously last game it was a bit of a disaster with that Shen ult, and it was a little tough for Shadow and Humanoid. So it's a good placeholder pick. I'm a little surprised by the Ashe pick actually, because I have not seen Hansama play Ashe at all. I don't believe he's played it at all this season. So.
Stats, it's quick shot. Hansama on Ashe stats the last time he played. I'll wait for them to get back to me. If I can just sidetrack for a second, we've only seen 3 AD carries through our playoffs. Ashe, Senna, and Jhin. Before the 2 previous games, Ashe was 5 wins, 2 losses. Mad Lions have added 2 extra losses, so she's now 5-4. And as you mentioned, this is the first time now we're seeing Hans Summer play at least this series. If that Senna gets locked in, that will be the 5th game in a row where it's Ashe versus Senna. 2 at the end of the X3 series, and now 3 today.
Yeah, I mean, you see it all over the world. The LPL finals is the exact same. It was basically Ashe Senna, but the Jhin was also thrown in a lot through the LPL. Europe, not so much. I think Reckless likes his Jhin, but the rest of the AD carry is not huge Jhin fans. So the Senna Ashe trade has been going for the last couple of weeks in the European playoffs. I mean, if you look at Rogue's comp, they've kind of given it away. They're going back to the default. They're going for Azir. They're going for Ashe. I'd like to see Finn just pick a tank now. You have such strong carries. You have really good scaling. But they probably want to pick support as well. So it's either a support counter for the bot lane, something like a Braum, a Leona, or a Tahm Kench, or they can just default to something like a Sion Ornn for Finn to have him on a comfortable top lane champ.
Yeah.
Let's find out what this pick is in just a moment. Gentlemen, as you are with me and you know how much I love my quick stats, in what year did Hans Summer last play Ashe? Jesus, you get a prediction.
2017?
Spot on. 2017 was the last time that Hans Summer played Ashe. It was a win. However, career-wide, he has a negative win-loss on that champion, so very good call-out, Jesus. And Kedril, you were predicting the support options, so there's the Tahm Kench locked in. And one of the counters to Azir that we've seen popularized towards the end of the Summer Split was that Kog'Maw immediately in the ban pool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. You know, Humanoid really likes the Kog'Maw into Azir. It's got good poke, scales pretty well, it's got good wave clear, so it's up to Rogue if they want to ban away the Orianna now, because the only real champ left is Humanoid kind of mains is the Orianna. That'll force him on something like a Zoe, a Galio, a TF, which will just give Azir full prio. So I'd like to see something like an Orianna ban. There it is. It's really good now. I think the mid matchup's gonna be really good for a Rogue. The scaling's really good.
I'd like to see a Zoe.
Huh?
I'd like to see a Zoe.
Yeah, I think Mad Lion's gonna default something like a Zoe, maybe even like a Galio or a TF or a Corki. Yeah, something with scaling, something with agency. I think they're probably gonna do 2 jungle bans here. If they do, that means there's gonna be 5 junglers banned. So Inspired's gonna have to blind, and he has really good scaling. So I wouldn't blame him if he picks something like a Set. What do you think?
Sets banned from themselves?
Oh, they ban away the Set.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Another jungle ban. Now, you did mention you wanted to see maybe Finn on a tank. Is there, a tank you'd be comfortable running into GP, or is that just a death sentence?
Well, let me tell you something, Trevor. If you saw Bwipo versus Finn, GP Ornn, I think you'd favor the Ornn in that matchup. So if Finn took something from Fnatic's book, just pick the bloody Ornn, just get something good.
But do you believe in Finn, hypothetically? If he goes Ornn here, do you think, Finn can do to Rome what Bwipo did to him?
Finn is a mega smurf. He's been completely smurfing, except for maybe the Shen game, but his ulti was mega smurf, I gotta admit.
Yeah.
So.
He has been winning the lane. He's been getting the flashes. He's been getting some pressure on top with his tank. So the Graves is a good response. Normally Graves is countered by AP junglers. So unless Mad Lions wants to do a complete U-turn here and go for something like Tristana Gragas or something with a Nidalee comp, then I don't see the Rogue comp getting counted. Oh, they do. Wow. As I say.
I think it's a bit of a surprise though, picking the Graves on R4, because enemy already showed the top lane. They can easily show the top lane on R4 instead and just counterpick the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, the jungle blind is fine. I mean, Graves is just notoriously counted by AP junglers. So if you do pick something like this Nidalee, I think something like with CC is needed here, maybe even like a Galio or a TF if you're going to play AP. I'm not really sure what other AD mids are open apart from Tristana and Kiana. So the TF is, I think that's what fits. You need some setup, you need some CC with the Nidalee. So I like this turn from Mad Lions. It's the first time we'll see Shadow on Nidalee, but it does count as the Graves.
And it's the first Nidalee all summer here in Europe. We've seen Nidalee picked up in popularity a lot around the world and not being picked up here. That tank is locked in. Kedril literally threw his arms into the air, fist bumping.
Yes, Finn is playing so much better on the tanks than he did on the carries. I just like all these draft adaptations. These are all just curveballs people are throwing at each other, The Graves blind pick, the Senna for Ashe trade, the TF into Azir, all these kind of things, even the Nidalee pick. It's just such good curveballs.
Gentlemen, we don't have the most amount of time. Earlier today, there was a prediction for a Rogue win from Kedril and Mad Lions win from Jesus. You've now seen the draft, it's game 3. You have the option to change your vote. I will only give you this chance now. Who wins this game? And when we see more, Jesus.
Well, the thing is, my predictions are always wrong. And I want it to be a reverse sweep, so I'm going to say 3-0 Rogue.
Sorry, what?
Next level.
That's a U-turn if I've ever seen one.
Exactly.
Well, I said 3-1 Rogue. I like both drafts. I think Rogue would have won if they last picked Malphite. I'm a huge Malphite connoisseur against Nidalee TF Senna. They have no damage. But they didn't, so maybe Mad Lions can win, but I still think Rogue's going to win.
Well, there we go. You've heard it from the analysts. 3-0 for Rogue. From both of them. It's Mad versus Rogue. Let's head to casters.
Rogue immediately rush into the top lane tribush. I'm Medic, Veddy's with me, as we have been for the last 2 games. Would have been surprising if we'd switched someone else out in the meantime.
I'm Frosk, this is Dracos. We're ready to bring in game 3.
I'm totally American, from Boston.
He's not from Boston,
Portland.
he's
Yeah,
from Portland.
From Portland, and I rap real good.
Again, I feel like you're being very offensive right now.
Let's get on into the action, because this is a very important match for Rogue and for Mad Lions. If Rogue win this, they match up against G2 on Saturday next week. They guarantee top 3 for the first time in the organization's history in the LEC.
Yeah, and I think that when we look at this holistically as well, do you remember, was it last summer? Yeah, it was definitely last summer. Rogue versus Schalke. It was third. They were fighting for that 3rd place spot, and then the Larson package happened.
Yep.
It was game 4. Rogue was set to win it, and the consensus was that if that pack, well, there was that hotly debated, honestly, whether or not Rogue would actually win, even if the package didn't go into the fountain. But I know that ever since then, Larson has wanted to make amends and try and, you know, return to former glory, try and do better than they have done in the past. And I think that Larson has just been a player that has only grown this year. The fact that he finished as the 2nd best mid laner, only behind Cap, speaks to how much growth as a player he's made. And trust me, guys, like, it's difficult earning the top mid laner spot in Europe when Caps has been in our league, but the fact that Larson has been able to come and remember, he only joined the league last year. He showcased a lot, and I think that he's already showcased a lot in this series as well.
And Rogue have just really shown us their adaptability, something we questioned about them in that Fnatic series, and they have grown and grown and grown. But Mad Lions on the other side of the rift have struggled today. Individual mistakes, team coordination issues, and I think a lot of people coming into this series would have looked at least for it to be close, if not expecting a Mad Lions victory. And I want to ask everyone out there in Twitch chat world, do you think Mad Lions can actually come back? Type yes or no in the chat. Have a think about it, because off the last 2 games, I think you have to predict a Rogue 3-0.
I mean, I do feel that right now Rogue has been playing better than Mads, but I agree with what Jez was saying on the analyst desk in that Mads players are underperforming, specifically Shadow and Humanoid. We're not seeing the same level of performance that we did see from them during the regular season, just like we saw from them during the series versus Schalke. But now Shadow, he's playing his 3rd jungler of the series, a different one, going to be the Nidalee. He is eyeing his
Inspired's on his way up here as well. Well, Rome could be in for a world of hurt. He has the flash. Finn gonna step forward, lands a little bit of a slower. Rome trying to flash away, manages to get the oranges off, but Inspired's on the chase and gets the first kill. He's still got flash to try and get away from the Shadow. Can't quite land the spear, does have the pounce, dives in, can't quite get the kill. Inspired just about survives.
So close there for Shadow. If he'd landed that spear, he would have gotten at least 1 of the 2 kills, but Arome was in an awkward position because Inspired got to the play first. Rogue, they end up drawing first blood.
What a bad start it is for Arome in that top lane. Has had to teleport back. Finn now has CS lead, got Doran's alongside the Corrupting Potion, and with no flash on the gangplank, you have to expect Rogue will be looking up towards that top lane. But Shadow isn't done with his ganking yet. He's looking for the mid lane. Larson doesn't have that much mana, won't be able to E his way away. Humanoid flashes in with a gold card. Immediate flash from Larson, but Shadow looking for the pounce once again, gets underneath the turret, and Humanoid will secure the kill.
Nicely done there from Shadow and Humanoid. These are the players that Mad needed to step up coming into game 3, and getting a kill onto Larson is going to be very valuable. Put that Azir behind, try and put him at a deficit, remove one of the carries early on, and also get this Nidalee and TF rolling. TP comes through from the Twisted Fate. He's looking for Finn.
Well, apparently everyone thinks Mad Lions can't come back, but they are saying otherwise as Humanoid comes in with the gold card. Might time out in just a moment. Finn trying to dodge away from it, but there it is. Gets the stun on the Scion. Arome's on the chase here, and that trial by fire will continue to take Finn down. Humanoid now with 2 kills in this game.
So he's going to lose a little bit of farm in the mid lane, but Humanoid now getting the ball rolling for Mad Lions. It's very important with the Twisted Fate that you're able to find these early kills, and he's been able to do all of this without his ultimate. With many flashes already burnt, he's going to have that a little bit later to look for another play. Shadow now running into Van and Inspired, as Shadow will lose his little Razor Beaks. Flash actually coming out from Vander there as he recognizes Kazi was coming in from the bot lane. So a bit of a misstep there from the support of Rogue. Mad Lions feeling a lot more confident in this early game.
A good start for Mad Lions. Shadow with a couple of good ganks, a little bit unfortunate in the top lane. Of course, that good gank in the mid lane
600 gold lead now for Humanoid on that Twisted Fate against the Azir, and an early Dragon for Mad Lions. It's so proactive, it's so forward-thinking here from the Lions, and it's a very good start to the game for them.
Well, let's see if they can keep up the aggression. Shadow falling a little bit behind, but of course we'll have the heal from Nidalee to help with that one. Kaiser and Kazi also around to offer support. Wait.
He's got smite, he's got smite.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, he should be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's... Oh.
Right?
Oh my god, no. Oh my... Okay, he is fine. No,
he's not!
Oh my... Okay.
Oh man, yeah, level 4 Nidalee trying to solo the Drake, ends up dying. The emote comes up from Kaiser. I mean, I think Kaiser should have just been there to tank it for him. Tank a couple of shots, help him out, and yeah,
Okay, that's one of those mistakes where you take a breath and you just have to internally reset. That's where you see the mental strength of a player, when they can make a mistake like that and then they reset, they come back on the map. Because the first 4 minutes of the game was so good.
Yeah, but the problem now is Shadow walking into his half of the jungle, level 4 to level 6, and he doesn't realize that Inspired is here.
Inspired is waiting once again on a carry jungler here. Shadow with the smite, but he can't get away.
And so this was the problem with the Drake. It was very slow to take down. Inspired had information as to where Shadow was, and because it took them so long and it was delayed, he was able to move into the top side. He knows what camps are cleared, and so Inspired just had to sit and lie in wait. He punishes Shadow once again, and now Rogue are back in the driver's seat.
Shadow has less XP than Vander and Kaiser right now. Hansama opening up with the Rangers focus in the bottom lane. The Ignite is ticking on him. Forced away, but the Guardian proc from Vander will keep him pretty healthy. And it's a bad start for Shadow in particular. It's still an okay start for the Mad Lions. They're only about 600 gold behind. The question is, how much can Inspire do with this lead he is now accrued in the jungle? We haven't seen him on the carry junglers all a split long, and this series he's brought out the Evelynn, he's brought out the Hecarim, and now he's playing the Graves.
Inspired has definitely had a fantastic series. Strong 2v2 trading in the bot side.
Heal and Exhaust have been used here. Shadow looking for the gank, but Inspired is here once again. He's going to chase out Shadow. Shadow's going to have to look for the pounds, but the collateral damage might be enough. Just goes wide. Destiny used as well by Humanoid as he rejoins the fight. Manda forced underneath the turret, and Mad Lions able to get at least a couple of plates out of this, if not the kills they were looking for.
Well, good stuff coming out from Mad. They're able to get a little bit more gold in their back pocket. A center actually coming out ahead in farm in the Ashe matchup, something that we don't often see, is Finn will do a bit of proxy farming, stealing away the camps behind the tower, make life a little bit more obnoxious for Arome. We can see though how strong this Graves is with the already upgraded Warrior enchantment, 2 kills in his back pocket. Carry junglers has been the name of the game for Inspired. Now typically during the regular season we don't really see Inspired being put in this position, but we're getting to see a little bit more of that solo queue Inspired, where he dominates and kind of takes over games single-handed.
Well, carry jungler's kind of been the name of the game for playoffs. Like, you look back to the Fnatic Rogue series, you look back to yesterday, Fnatic versus G2, like, it feels like there has been a meta shift in Europe towards these heavier scaling, heavier farming, heavier carrying junglers.
I mean, over in the LPL, this has been the most common jungle matchup for a while, right? And Europe has kind of stuck to their own style. Sometimes we can be a bit rigid in what we believe is the right way to approach the game, and it seems like we're now catching on and we're adapting more of that LPL style. As Shadow continues to lose his objective, even Vander's hit. The classic 8 to 9 minute swap up from Rogue. Mad was able to deal with it last game, but this time around they were not. And the back even gets interrupted as well. Shadow being punished heavily for some of the, well, for that Drake mistake specifically. And now Rogue kind of running away with it as they continue to accelerate that gold lead.
There are some good signs for Mad Lions. Humanoid has finished his Rod of Ages, but the arrow just goes wide, so he is stacking that up. As you said earlier, Kazi has a CS lead. Whoa, ooh, that's a misclick from Larssen.
That is definitely a misclick from Larssen. Just as we're praising him for being one of the best mid laners in the league, he's like, hey, even the best make mistakes, you know? Like, it happens.
We've seen Caps make mistakes.
Yeah, true, very true. But yeah, just a bit of a misclick there from Larssen. Not going to hold that one against him. Ultimate comes down from Finn to get the bot lane quickly. It looks like he's going for the fight.
He's trying to kill Kazi. Does make him smash. Doesn't quite land, but Finn underneath the tower should be pretty healthy for the moment. Mad Lions collapsing as a 4-man group. Arome's by himself on the other side of the map, but does have the cannon barrage to clear out a wave as Hansama and Vander are going to try and push in top. Finn still stuck on his lonesome. Has the flash here. Looking to try and catch this wave. Knocked up with the death charge. He's still about half HP. He's been left here for a very long time. The Dawning Shadow coming out, and in the end, he will go down. Shadow secures the kill.
So good punish here from Mad. Finn wanted to try and hold the tower by himself, and He ends up getting punished 4 hits, but of course this does
Rogue
open up
so
the
much.
mid lane, and Rogue are going to take this mid tower very early on.
I mean, they get 2 plates in the top as well because of how much time Mad Lions spent in that bottom lane. Like, they might even get 3 plates here. You can see the gold actually now even between the mid lane when we saw a big lead for Humanoid earlier on. Only 300 gold difference between the bottom lanes as well. Like, Finn doing such a good job of delaying has now meant that Rogue have about 1,800 gold lead here.
So Rogue now going to reset, look to path towards bot. You'll notice that the Drake is about to spawn in 7 seconds. And while Mad do have vision in the area, Rogue are faster on the reset. They're going to be able to clear this vision out. You can already see the sweeper coming through from both jungle and support. They're going to make sure that Mad see as little as possible. And then they're going to look to contest for this objective. And when we look at the items, you can see that with the Nash's Tooth already completed for Larssen, I think the Rogue are going to be more than happy to contest and make sure that they secure this objective.
Only problem with using the sweepers through your own jungle means that you don't have them for the pit, but Vander rectifies that issue, puts a control ward in there to clear out any vision that Matt
That was
have.
quite interesting. Kaiser actually moved his control ward from that little bush by the lane into the actual pit so that he can test for that. But of course, the risk of that is it's going to get cleared out much earlier. And notice that he doesn't have any additional control wards left. So there are, of course, still a few others on the other Mad members. So for now, he's just going to make sure that he has some vision in case that dragon gets snuck away.
Shadow going to try and sneak his way in towards the bottom side of this river, but the ward will spot him. Inspired was on his way down as well. Kazi actually pops the Curse of the Black Mist pretty early here. Hunsummer does have the arrow. Shadow with a level disadvantage, playing into the Serrated Dirk, double longsword, sitting on Inspired, who is now going to start up the dragon. Finn is double proxy farming, because that's what Scions do, apparently. Between the waves here, does have the teleport to join a fight that might begin, but you can see by taking that mid lane tower, Larssen has so much push pressure in the mid lane. Finn is actually coming in behind the tier 2 in the mid lane.
I think they're looking to dive it, man.
Oh, that's so unfair. Humanoid does have flash, has the ignite as well as the arrow comes out. It's only going to hit onto 1. It's Kaiser that gets locked up, but the dragon should be secured here. Inspired lands the smite. Shadow trying to step forward, slowed by the volley. Larssen coming in from the side as well, but he is just going for his blue buff. And Finn walk from mid, back towards bot. Like, is Scion the new Singed? Is it champions that start with SI?
I mean, the thing is, you just can't stop it, right? Right now, oh, actually, now they can, because the problem for him...
Watch this. He drifts through mid lane, up towards Shadow, and Shadow loses this fight. Destiny comes out, there's the Decimating Splash, but the stun is stopped as the gold card comes out. Larssen on his way.
Oh, the knock-up. No, not going to commit to that one.
Oh, Humanoid is going to take so much here as well. Larssen could have engaged on that. Humanoid does still have flash, but Larssen just willing to chunk out the tier.
Now what we're seeing is an opportunity for him to, or Inspired rather, to invade again. The TP bot lane.
It looks like it's Finn who's going to join this. Of course, doesn't have the ultimate, but Hunsummer's on the chase. No arrow for him. There's the cannon barrage to slow down Vander and Hunsummer. Vander flashing forward, but has the thick skin still to keep himself alive. Finn going in, trying to dive under the tower. Lands the decimated smash onto Kaiser, and Kaiser is dead. Kazi now underneath the turret is taken out by the soldiers. Inspired in the mid lane, 1v1 Humanoid. And Vedius, I don't want to say it this soon, but it looks like Mad Lions are done for.
It does seem like it, Medic. Rogue are just rolling over Mad Lions right now. This is a completely different Rogue from what we saw in the series against Fnatic, and they just seem like an entirely different team. You know, we're still seeing some of the classics. We're seeing the Azir in the mid lane. We're seeing a tank top lane, but the execution is just so much cleaner. Inspired is dominating the jungle matchup. Larssen working with his jungler to take that mid tower. The usage of the teleports, like Rogue is all over the map, and Mad just have no answer.
Shadow just trying to do what he can, farm up, but he's 30 CS and 2 kills behind. And we'll see off this back, Inspired with the most gold in the game, and Shadow with the least apart from the supports. Now, Inspired has gone back. He has an Edge of Night. He is even more scary, and it gets to a point where you are just too far ahead to be dealt with. Right now, it looks like Inspired is there.
I mean, certainly. Notice that Mad, look at how much vision control they have around the bot side of the map. The rewards littered everywhere. They think they're perfectly safe, but the teleports come through from both Finn and Larssen. And while the GP ultimate does what it can, there's all that he can do. Meanwhile, you'll notice in the mid lane, Humanoid just gets absolutely obliterated. And the This Is Fine emote comes out from Inspired because he knows that this is not fine for Mad Lions as they lose 3 and more plates going to the back pocket of Rogue.
It's a 3,000 gold lead at the 15-minute mark. Rogue with a gold lead at 15 have an 11-2 record across the course of the regular season. They are so good at taking an advantage and just snowballing away from you. Stun card's going to come out from Humanoid, but yeah, Finn just chases you down, misses the unstoppable onslaught, doesn't get the damage from it. Humanoid's going to cycle through the cards again, lands the gold, the stack deck working in his favor, but some fancy feet just allows him to walk away rather than do so much more.
Look at how fast Inspired is.
Oh, he's got the Time Kenja Pistol Voyage coming in. Humanoid's going to lock that gold, but the Edge of Night will stop it. Humanoid flashes underneath the turret, exhaust, and the minions helping him stay alive.
Yep, the flash does have to come through from Humanoid, and Mad, they just don't get a second to breathe. The aggression is relentless from Rogue, and now Mad are trying to make the cross-map play, but Larson reads it like a book, which allows Rogue to be able to push in bot lane, push in mid, and you can see that this is just the Inspired series right now. Evelyn in game 1, the Hecarim in game 2, and now the Graves in game 3. 3 consistent carry performances. He's coming up clutch, and like we've been talking a lot about him, but behind the scenes, Larson has been so consistent as he often is. Finn, that constant frontline supportive, the whole team of Rogue kind of coming together in this very important series.
Gold card's going to land here onto Finn. There's the dredge line as well. They're looking for the chase. Finn does not have a way out of this. No ult and no way to escape. Kazi giving the kill, and Finn perhaps stayed a little bit too long there.
You know, like in any good team, there's always one. You know, in Fnatic, you know, you've got Hylissang. In G2, you've got Caps. And in Rogue, you've got Finn. Yeah. You know, like...
You've got Hylissang, Craps, and Finn.
Finn having a significantly better performance than he did compared to how he played against Fnatic. But every now and then, overextending just a little bit, getting punished just there, but still having a great series overall. Sitting at 1-3-3, he's still going to be very valuable on that side. As we transition into the mid game, Hansam are going to pick up that Rift Herald. Rogue going to secure their 5th tower of the game, only 17.5 minutes in, and Rogue are looking to speedrun this series against Man.
Gold lead is only 3,000. I say only with a little pinch of salt because they've now picked up the Rift Herald. Howard going to come out in the mid lane. Hits Kaiser. He has got the dredge line to try and get away. Vander's going to go in with the tongue lash, looking for a couple more licks before he can gobble off Kaiser. The Kaiser flashes away. There's the heal. Once again, the dredge line coming in. Shadow looking for the engage from the side as Vander goes low. Vander with the stopwatch, though, is going to get out of the Dawning Shadow. However, the shutdowns come down. Inspired has fallen. Now it's on Larson and Hansama to try and turn this around, but there's 2 quick kills, 2 Mad Lions, and Rogue have to retreat.
Okay, so good turnaround here from Mad. They're able to punish the aggression from Rogue this time around, and it felt like the plan from Rogue was just to try and catch some members out from the Mad Lions in the mid lane. But I really like the way in which Kaiser responded. The fact that he flashes over the wall, lands a hook onto Inspired, and then it makes the target focus actually very easy for Mad. So here, we see the arrow coming through. Finn just a little bit ways away. So initially, it's just a 2 versus 2. This looks quite promising for Rogue. They're like, okay, we'll pick up some quick kills. The burst comes through, flash it, and look, the hook lands onto the Graves. The immediate chain CC, he doesn't get to move. Then the Nidalee damage comes through as well. And then this is where Mad is in a much better position because Rogue is funneled into this choke point. While Finn does land a good knocker, the damage is still coming through from Arome and Kazi, and they're left completely untouched. So Mad is able to find themselves 2 quick kills, and they're going to alleviate some of that pressure that Rogue has been spewing out all this game.
And I think Inspired, after that fight, very quickly realized something. Mercury Treads might be a good idea. Against the amount of CC we see coming out from Mad Lions, that chain, just having the ability to get away from it with the tenacity will help out. And that's exactly where he's going with the No Magic Mantle in his inventory. Death Cap on its way for Larson. He's got the double needlessly large rod. We've already seen both the AD carries complete their first item. In fact, Kazi is sitting at 2.5 as he has the Serrated Dirk alongside a Yumu's and a Manamune.
Well, quietly, Humanoid has just been picking up kills, you know? Like, he didn't have the best laning phase. Obviously, he lost his tower very early on, but he did get those 2 early kills. And now he's at 3-1-3, has the Lich Bane done already. He's probably feeling pretty strong at this point in the game, but so is Rogue as they look for another fight.
Humanoid pops the Ghost to try and get away. The Decimating Smash comes out and the CC chain works both ways. Rogue get a kill, and as soon as you praise him, Humanoid dies.
Yeah, that was a straight-up caster curse there. I was like, okay, he's quietly ramping up. I like this from Humanoid. Potentially can look for more picks, but Rogue is like, no picks today. We're just going to group fight. The Baron's about to spawn. I wonder if Rogue will look to just rush it down. They're tanky, they have the damage. Maybe they want to wait for Larson to finish his what looks to be a death cap second item. as the Rift Herald gets dropped in the top lane.
I'm not sure if I want the Baron straight away. I mean, Rogue have kind of been a little bit apprehensive around the Barons throughout the entire series. We remember Game 2 when they had the Senna, they decided not to go for it. It looks like they might just be starting it up. They cleared out the vision, the Scuttle Crab died off, and now they're going to try and do it. Larson and Inspired, but Inspired isn't that tanky. The Cannon Barrage is actually going to catch out Hun Summer, and Vander right here. Death Shot's going to come out as well, but they're trying to turn it back around. Shadow from the side, not able to get the damage down, but Humanoid comes in with the Destiny. And now Finn trying to get away from the rest of Mad as they chase him down. Vander just about able to survive. Humanoid has the gold card, locks it onto Vander once again. The thick skin just about keeping him alive. Finn, though, will go down. And the Baron call maybe a little bit too much there from Rogue.
So.
Oh, Shadow's on the chase. He's prowling through the jungle, his native habitat on the Nidalee.
Thought that someone might look to roam through. Oh no, that's not what you want to do! Oh
no!
Oh, Shadow, you hate to see it. He thought that everyone had recalled. He lands the spear. He thought that he drew aggro, and he didn't have the vision to realize that they were all just lying in wait. Shadow ends up getting punished, but to kind of go back, I looked at the state of the map and I was like, okay, I can see a world in which they do Baron, but never said whether I like the Baron or not. And this is one of the things, right? Gangplank ultimate is extremely strong. You also have the Senna ultimate as well. I think one of the biggest things was how Mad actually turned to face the teleport. Humanoid and Shadow were just zoning away the 4 members as the Baron was still hitting onto Rogue, which meant that the other 3 could just deal with Finn on the side. Without that front line, it becomes a lot harder for Rogue to actually play those
Krugs respawn while he's waiting?
Well, yeah, because the thing is, he sees them about to respawn. The rest of Rogue is resetting, and then Inspired's like, oh, I'll just take these. Like, okay, I'll also take this. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for Shadow.
Well, he just the problem is
he assumed
he assumed that they had reset, and he didn't have full information. It's always going to be a gamble when you make decisions like that, and he ends up getting punished this time around. And here, Inspired assumes there's no one on his Krugs, but he's like, I don't care if there's someone on my Krugs.
Oh, the arrow connects with Romy, trying to flash away from it, but Inspired's on the chase, and here comes the unstoppable onslaught as well. Collateral damage will be enough to take the kill. Rogue 8-7 up, 2,000 gold in the league, and they are knocking on an inhibitor tower at the 22-minute mark. Larson is here with the Rabadons complete. He will shred through this, and look where the rest of Mad Lions.
They're looking to try and trade in the top side. They know that they don't have the wave mode to stop this push from happening, but they're confident that Rogue can't end the game. So they're just going to concede this, get a little bit back on the map, get their 3rd tower of the game, and they might not even be able to get this in time as Humanoids. Nah, he should be fine.
There's no TP, so I don't think anyone can get
another minion wave on the way as well. But Rogue looking absolutely dominant in this series versus Mad Lions. Honestly, I expected it to be a close one. It was difficult for me to guess which team would actually end up coming out on top, but I feel like we've seen a significant level up in Rogue, and also just some big underperformances from Mad. Kaiser goes in, misses the hook.
Inspired with the fancy feet, going to get the side step. Depcho's going to land on him, and Humanoid coming in with the TP and the gold card. Locks 6 straight onto Inspired. Mad Lions actually looking for their 3rd dragon of the game here. Perfect time to pick off the enemy jungler.
And this is a great point to note. Mad have been slowly securing these dragons. Small missteps that have come out from Rogue have been able to be capitalized from Mad. Of course, they did fumble that first Drake just a little bit, but since then they've been slowly stacking them up. Getting that Cloud Soul is definitely going to be valuable because it also opens up the Elder Dragon, and then Mad do have a potential
he's done it again.
condition.
He's done it again.
In the enemy jungle, gets caught out. This has not been Shadow series, and he has been consistently punished. Like, he needs to focus on staying alive for the rest of this game because, again, Mad have the win. Wait, actually, you're right.
It could just be Baron, right?
They could literally just go straight to Baron. They have the death cap on Azir. They have the Scion to tank this one up.
And Graves is on his way, Inspired's on his way.
That actually could be so much bigger than I initially thought, Medic. You rightly pointed it out. Inspired is on his way, and now Rogue are going to take this one down. Let's see if Mad can stop it.
Okay, the rest of Mad really have to bring something out of the hat right now to try and do something. Arome not there, doesn't have the cannon barrage, but he's on his way. The stun card locks in only onto Vander. Finn in the middle of the pit as the Baron goes lower, and the smite will secure it. Rogue get it, and they want a little bit more. The arrow lands onto Humanoid. Decimating Smash going to knock him up as well, but he isn't able to survive. Rogue get 2 kills. They get the Baron. And you feel like that's the final nail in Mad Lion's coffin.
I mean, one big mistake comes out from Shadow and it just gets punished. Here comes the flash from Kaiser.
It's only onto Vander though, and Vander has the thick skin. Cannon Barrage used, going to clear out some of the minions, but Finn is still on that front line. Larson teleporting in as he rejoins the fight. That was a good way of delaying the game from Mad Lions, but there are super minions pushing in the bot lane. The wave is on its way in the mid lane, and Finn almost has his teleport back up, so can just reset if he needs to. Look at this. double supers on the Nexus towers. And you said it earlier, Vedius, this has been such a level up from Rogue, as once again we see Mad Lions knock the final fight. Hans Summer is dead. The knockup was great, as you say. Tom Kench coming in to rejoin this fight. Finn low, just about able to get away, but the Destiny's there for the chase. The Dawning Shadow gobbled up. Vander keeps Finn alive, and that was a great base defense from Mad Lions.
All right, Kaiser, I see you. You are smurfing right now. You are landing so many clutch hooks, and 2 of your Hex Flashes were crucial in keeping Mad Lions in this game. Stellar performance on the Nautilus, and Mad just doing what they can to buy time. Try and ramp up. Try and play for that Dragon Soul, because Rogue, their push has been slow. They will not get themselves another inhibitor, but they still have a minute and a half on the Baron, and they can look to set up another siege.
Let's have a look at where they are in terms of items. Larson has a Fiendish Codex and a stopwatch to go alongside the Nash's Rabadons. Well, how about talk about that after this fight goes in, because as you say, these Hex Flashes were paramount.
So really good hook onto Vander. Yes, it is Vander, but they force that front line out of the fight immediately. And the Gangplank ultimate does a great job of zoning Hans Summer and Inspired away. It's very difficult for Inspired to close that gap. And again, Kaiser makes sure that there's no vision in the bush. Thank you very much, Observers, for highlighting this, because he then is able to set this up. And notice, flash in, hook lands, knock up on turn 3. As he aims for Larson, and that gives the perfect opportunity for Arome to land the barrel and for Mad to come out ahead in this fight. Kaiser, beautiful setup, and it really needs to be highlighted how strong his support performance is. That could be the play that keeps Mad in this series. Let's see if he can do it again.
I mean, there's a reason he was the all-pro support for Summer. Larson takes a huge chunk. Kaiser once again on the front line. Humanoid going in with the stun card as well, but Finn acting as a bodyguard, acting as a bouncer. Super Minion still away from that bottom lane inhib, and the inhib is spawning once again in about 30 seconds. This ban buff might run out with Rogue unable to take too much. Depth charge comes out only onto Vander. Stun card's gonna land. There's the Dawning Shadow. Hans Summer forced away by the Cannon Barrage, and Larson's gonna have to run his way through it as well. Uses the shield of the E and the Emperor's Divide to try and keep him away, but Vander is down, and Humanoid is still on the chase. Finn's gonna try and get himself away, but the gold card just needs to connect. Humanoid with the Lich Bane will have the extra movement speed, and that will be a very dead Scion. Mad Lions are not done with this series.
Back-to-back team fights. Mad Lions have actually been coming out ahead. Notice that Arome's just hit level 16. Threw items on the Gangplank. He does a lot of damage with this ultimate, and I think that it is really detrimental when it comes for Rogue and actually setting up in the sieges, because that ulti comes down and people from Rogue just get chunked. I don't quite know how Larson lost half his HP in that last fight, but he did. And that gave Mad the opportunity to run them down, force the engage, and actually come out ahead. And now with the Drake spawning in 30 seconds, what looked like a done and dusted game for Rogue has actually turned into a pretty even game. And Mad now feeling a lot more confident. Items are being completed. Levels are relatively even. Mad still have a shot in this game.
And they're going to try and get towards this mid lane tier 1. Pushing in, 10 seconds on the Cloud Soul. This is it. This is the moment for Mad Lions to really fight back in this series. You have to feel Kaiser once again, the man on the front line, constantly landing those hooks, constantly landing the knockups. Humanoid's done a lot of work this game as well. We said he was quietly scaling. He's working his way towards those 4 items, and now he's in a very powerful position. Inspired is the one to be called out. Humanoid going in with the Destiny, trying to get on Inspired, but the smoke screen was great. Decimating smash only going to land off the Kaiser. Larson doing so much damage from across the wall, and the Cannon Barrage has been mitigated, has been backed away from here by Rogue. Arrow not quite gonna connect, and Humanoid gets healed up. Inspired still trying to step forward. Humanoid almost goes down, and Kaiser's low as well. And here comes the charge. Rogue sense it. They smell blood in the water. They take 2, and they will look to close out the game.
Mad couldn't find the same engage that they found in the last 2 fights. Rogue were able to come out ahead with all 5 members alive, and they don't care about the Drake. They only care about the Nexus. Only 3 members of Mad stand tall. No Kaiser to defend this time round. Can Arome and the squad do it?
They've got to do something miraculous to keep this game alive.
The minions.
They've got most of the minions. That single cannon still alive. Finn low. He's ticking down, but he will be able to get away. The Guardian proc on Hans Summer keeps him alive for the moment. Akazi stepping forward, gets an auto. down onto Rogue, and I think Rogue might just be saying, hey, we're not sure we can win. Let's make sure we get the Cloud. The Gangplank coming in behind here as Larssen has TP as well. It's a double TP. Arome going in. Humanoid's going to join the party as well as they look to try and take away the Cloud Dragon, but Rogue have noticed they're going to try and get in here as the TP comes in from Larssen down towards the bottom side. Humanoid steps straight into the gaping maw that is a Scion, and Larssen's looking for the flank. He dives in. Humanoid has nowhere to go, and he dies, and now Arome has to flash across the wall. Inspired's going to start up the Cloud Drake, but you know who's back alive? Shadow. Can he get in here? Can he steal this in time? He's on his way. He's almost there. 3,000 HP on it. Shadow, you got to jump. You got to dive. You got to go in. 2,000 HP on it. Shadow doesn't get it. It's secured by Larssen. Shadow goes down. Rogue delay the soul, but Arome stood in a really good position as Mad Lions continue to look for the fight. The barrel combo. Vander with the thick skin still alive. Inspired. Going to dash across the wall, and Vander will be the first to fall in this fight. But Finn is on the flank position now, and it's a 4v3 in favor of Rogue. Mad Lions trying to retreat, trying to get away from this, trying to use the jungle as their ally, and it's only Kaiser that they're looking for, and Rogue should be able to get just one out of this.
Wow, what an intense fight between the two teams. Kaiser is going to drop at the end of that, and Mad end up losing 3. With Inspired still alive, and that's the crucial thing. Rogue can now make their way straight towards the Baron. I think that Mad should not have committed as hard as they did for that Cloud Soul, because even if they get it, Shadow's likely to die, and then Rogue can go straight towards this objective. This means that Rogue is going to secure another Baron. While one inhib has respawned, the base is in tatters for Mad Lions. While they have been putting up good fights, it is not going in their favor. So I understand the idea behind the double TP flank, but the rest of Mad, just look at their positioning right now. They are so far away from this two-man, which makes it so easy for Mad to actually get this collapse on them, because Arome and Humanoid, they're split up from each other as well. So Rogue get the initial kill. Arome's forced away from the fight. And this is where I'm sitting here thinking, okay, forget the Drake, ignore it, you don't need it. But Shadow's like, if I can steal this, if I get the soul, then maybe, but his spear doesn't hit the Drake, it only hits the Graves, it goes down to 400 HP, it's not quite enough to secure the steal. The Gangplank ultimate comes out, and then Rogue end up walking away. They get themselves some more kills, they're gonna get themselves the Baron, and Rogue now back in control of the game.
Once again with Baron buff, a 4,000 gold lead, an almost full build Ashe, an almost full build Azir, and Inspired popping off on this Graves. You can sense how much this game means for both teams. Mad Lions, but they've been on the podium before. They got 3rd in spring, remember. Rogue have never done it. They've never been top 3. The best they've ever placed is 4th last year, where they were stopped by Schalke in this very match, Vedius. And now they are trying to prove that they belong amongst the best. Arrow's going to land.
That's a big X-Flash.
Depth charge coming out in the Cannon Barrage, actually in a really good position as Mad Lions trying to open up on the fight. Decimating Smash, trying to zone, but look at how much damage Vander's already taken. Hunt Summer, the Destiny on the backline as they look for the fight. Humanoid's going in, he has the flank, he has the gold card. He looks it straight onto Vander. Minions are pushing the Nexus. Oh, Larssen! The top mid laner statistically in the regular season. The mechanical god that is Larssen steps up. He just dismantles Mad Lions. And you thought for a moment Mad Lions had a chance, but Larssen slammed the door right in their face. Rogue are going to the finals weekend. They are top 3 in Europe.
Man, I was so impressed with how Kaiser kept finding ways to set up Mad for favorable fights. But Larssen said, I've had enough of this. This silliness needs to stop, and he decides to commit to the play. Beautiful Azir execution at the very end there. An overall fantastic performance from Rogue. Disappointing end to the split, of course, for Mad. They will still be going to Worlds, but what was a dominating regular season for Mad, what looked like a stellar performance, it seems like that there are many question marks around as to what happened to Mad, and only they can really answer them. But today they couldn't show up against Rogue, and Rogue leveled up as well. And I think that we're going to get some really exciting games moving into our finals weekend.
And I think you see part of the benefit of playoffs where Rogue, because they were first, they got into that upper seeded match, and they've only had to play 2 best-of-5s, right? This was their second, whereas Mad had that extra best-of-5 versus Schalke. They didn't have as much time to prepare for this weekend, and maybe Rogue's adaptability just caught them a little bit off guard. You can vote for your Kia player of the series, though, at LEC on Twitter. Finn, Inspired, and Larssen are your options. I will say, look, guys, recency bias, you're going to give it to Larson. Don't. Inspired is the man to give it to.
Inspired is the man.
The total transformation in his play style compared to what we usually see from him. Usually he's on tanks. Now he went back onto carries. I remember when the guy came into the league and it was Olaf, 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 and he was hard carrying. This looked like that Inspired, and it was great to see. And we're soon going to hear from Inspired before Larson joins us in the post-game lobby. Don't go anywhere. Oh, he caught it. Look at that.
Just like a razor, murked up in this world, my blazer. I got all the boys on me, I got all the lines on ring. Knocking dead, turning heads, I got all the eyes on me. Lady face, caught up to the wire. 유행 선두자, 원하지만 못 찾아나. 애가 찾아나. You like roll, 할리 you go. 난 알지, I know. 준비해, cause I like the ball. 멈추지 않아. 말할래, 그게 like a bag. 그거 말고 말 믿어봐. 그만큼 크게 어깨 펴고 high. 100% 덤비지 못해. 죽여주잖아. 나는 boss, 간지 with the sauce. 원하면 줄게. I'm doing damage when just how I planned it. I do what I want when I say. 모든 날 따라해. 난 끝내주잖아. To live on the edge of insane. Coming at you loud, real, real wild. Here to light it up, set the world on fire. Gonna break the rules and hearts and tools, cause that's what the baddest do. Never going back, nah, nah, that. Diamonds on drip, cause I came to make a splash. Gonna break the rules and hearts and tools, cause that's what the baddest do. It's crazy. Sorry for the bad news, sorry I'm so bad. Only took a minute for me to hear what you had. Sorry for the bad news, no it makes you sad. There for a minute, baby, you should pack your bags. Without a look, should be breaking the law. If I don't got it, I take what I want. My circle small like a round of applause. You know that I like the sound of applause. You know I mean everything that I say. When you see me come and get out of the way. I can just lay, back and I'm better and ready to stay. I'm doing damage when just how I planned it. I do what I want when I say. 모든 날 따라해. 난 끝내주잖아. To live on the edge of insane. It's crazy. Sorry, not sorry for being the best. 언제든지 내가 좀 해. Look at the gold, all on my chest. Look at the gold, call it a flex.
And welcome back to the LEC playoff as Rogue just 3-0'd Mad Lions, and I have Inspired with me to talk about this series so far. Hi, Inspired, thank you for joining me.
Hello, thank you for inviting.
You're welcome. I mean, congrats on beating Mad Lions 3-0 here. It was night and day compared to what we've seen with Fnatic. So what prevented you from playing your game against Fnatic when you put it into perspective with the game today?
I think against Fnatic we didn't really know the meta that well. We kind of played the old stuff. We didn't really know Evelyn and Hecarim are really strong, so we didn't really change much from the season because we thought we will just play what we are winning with. But after the game against Fnatic, we realized that those champs are pretty strong right now, so we just started playing them as well. I think they're not that hard to pull out, so it just took us a few days and we are used to it.
All right, now the preparation against Mad Lions. As I said to Ismail, it's a team you know very well. You saw them play actually earlier this week. So is there anything you learned from them, from the series you've seen 2 days ago? We won't actually see them anymore before Worlds, so you're free to talk here, I guess.
Well, we kind of learned that their games are looking way better than when they play Lilia jungle, and when they didn't have Lilia, they kind of felt really lost on the map, and that they really like to play Ashe. But I think Ashe was not really the series pick. I think Ashe was decent, but it's easy to counter it with Senna. So yeah, basically we just knew that we have to ban Lilia and play our game, and we'll probably win it.
All right, well, and coming in today, did you think you could win so easily against them? That's not the expectations we had here.
Well, I expected that we'll probably win. I thought maybe they will take the game or two, but yeah, I definitely knew that we will be the favorites coming into the game, even though everyone, almost like every fan and stuff, thought that Mad Lions is stronger because we got 3-0 by Fnatic. But I don't really think that when we played against Fnatic, it was them playing really well, but it was us playing pretty bad. So we just had to step up for this series, and we just did our best.
All right, Inspired, you're mentioning the fans here, and I know they've been a bit harsh on you, saying that, I mean, mentioning your spot at Worlds, the fact that you could go into playoffs without winning again and still being sent at Worlds. So is there anything you would like to say to the people who did not believe in you, or just bounce back on what you saw on social media, maybe? Because I know you've been very vocal about this.
Well, I don't really care what people says, honestly, but it was just a bit annoying because as a fan, you don't really know how the teams really play, because this series was just our bad day, I would say. So it's like everyone is really good in the league. So I think if someone has a bad day, he will obviously look really bad because enemy team is also decent. So yeah, I think it was just our bad day. So I wouldn't, if I would be a fan, I wouldn't really think that our team is really weak because of it.
All right. Believe in Rogue at Worlds, guys. I'm telling you. And I mean, when you look at the performance you had today and your performance overall, you were the player of the series here. So tell me, Inspired, why didn't we see you on carry junglers more often during the season?
I think the meta was a bit different. AD carries that were played, Aphelios and Ezreal, Yumi and those stuff were better into carry junglers because they outscale you, they outrange you, and it was really hard to play. But now the champs like Evelynn, Hecarim, they got buffed, and AD carries got nerfed, so everyone plays like Ashe and Senna. Both are really squishy and easy to kill. So I think it's just way easier to pull out the carry junglers right now.
And it's a nice meta shift for Rogue here in playoffs. But okay, I know you will be facing G2 next week, but actually I don't care because TSM qualified to Worlds yesterday. And brace yourself, people, because you may be facing TSM at Worlds. So what do you think when you know that it's actually going to happen, maybe?
Well, we were watching the series yesterday and we were chilling for TSM, obviously, because we want to meet them and make the TSM versus Rogue meme actually truth game. So I'm really hyped to play against them. I wish we'll get them in the group and we'll beat them.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait for it, honestly. But Inspired, thank you very much for the interview and congrats on reaching semifinals for next week.
Thank you.
And we're going to take one last break and we'll come back in a few minutes for the post-game lobby with quick shots. See you soon.
Welcome to the LEC post-game lobby. I'm still Quickshot, joined by Kadril and Larson. Hello and welcome. Larson, dude, let me start by saying congratulations. What a dominant performance. How does it feel, smashing Mad Lions and maybe silencing some of the fans on social media and Reddit?
It feels really nice because I haven't been too much on social media. I think I know a lot of the other players in my team and staff around Rogue has been on social media, and there's apparently been a lot of negativity that we're going to Worlds without winning best of 5 and stuff like this. So it feels really good that we stomp a best of 5 and show that we deserve to go to Worlds and deserve to represent EU. So yeah.
Lawson,
nice.
I want you to hear this, and I'd appreciate if you told the rest of the org as well, and this is to the fans too. Rogue deserved to go to Worlds. I said this during Ready Check, actually, that based on the performance that you and your team and organization have had all year long, you are one of the best teams in Europe, period. That is a fact. You've proven that consistently throughout the year. And had you lost today, you would have got the lowest seed. If it was the same model as last year, on the championship points, you would have got the 2nd seed. So I really like the new format. And honestly, to any fans who are hating and doubting, their proof is in the pudding. Let's turn to today's series. I'm going to start by Kadril. From your perspective, you predicted Rogue to win. You did think it was going to be 3-1. From your perspective, how much better did Rogue perform? And obviously, Mad Lions underperforming as well.
Yeah, everyone doubting Rogue after just losing 1 best of 5 was crazy to me. I think they were first in the regular split. They were the most consistently good team in the league. And in this best of 5, I just like the fact that they adapted, right? They picked up the Evelyn, they picked up the Hecarim. You could see that they've adapted so much in the last week, and they did keep their sort of consistent gameplay where they went for the Azir, they went for the skating junglers like Sejuani and Sett in the early game. And then they swapped it up for this best of 5, and Mad Lions had no response. And I think if you put Inspire on a carry, you put Finn on a tank, I think your team's just better. And Larson, props to Larson, putting out the Lucian and just popping off.
That Lucian first game was incredible. The Azir to close it out, beautiful. Larson, talk to me about Mad Lions' performance. Shadow looked like he was turbo-inting in that final game. And as a whole, Mad Lions just really didn't really load onto the Rift.
It was weird to hear a boomer say turbo in theory.
What was Mad Lion's performance from your perspective, Larson?
I think they maybe were like happy after winning against Mad. I mean Schalke and reaching Worlds, so maybe they didn't have like full focus coming into this best of 5, and they maybe underestimated us as well. But I also think we played really, really well today. I don't think it's like them playing bad. I think we played really, really well. Like
it's both sides, right?
We were just in the zone. I felt like everyone's in the zone in the team. But I definitely felt like they didn't have full focus. It was kind of like our best of 5 against Fnatic last week.
So yeah, I saw them picking up like Nidalee, Graves. He was really first time in these champs, completely running it down a little bit. I think Inspired was mega popping off. So what do you think actually happened against Fnatic? Was it focus for you guys? Was it just the wrong meta read that you had? Because they were obviously prioritizing the Evelynn Hecarim, then the Karthus and stuff like this. So what do you think went wrong?
There's so many things actually. I think we had not that great read on the meta, right? Since we didn't play really Evelynn or Hecarim. We didn't play those farming junglers that much. And we didn't play that much Lucian mid either, for example. I think Fnatic came in with like really good drafts with the Lucian mid and AP jungle. But most of all, I don't think it's like draft was the issue. I think we played really bad. Like we just played really bad. It wouldn't matter which draft we had, I think. I think we would have lost anyway, just because how bad we played. I mean, we had some kind of bad days coming up to the Fnatic game. I was very sick for 3-4 days before the game. And Finn also had some issues outside of the game. And so yeah, it wasn't like optimal preparation for the game. And we also underestimated Fnatic quite a bit, I think. Because during the regular season, they looked quite bad. So coming into the game, we didn't really prepare that much. And we felt like we were going to win really easily. But we definitely did not, right? So I think it's just a combination of a lot of things. But I think we just underestimated them a lot.
I really appreciate and respect your candidness in those responses, your earnestness in telling, the perspective that you've looked at a lot of things. I thought Vander in the losers interview was also very similar, looking internally and also acknowledging where the issues came from. I have to give you credit, Lawson. The turnaround from that performance to this performance is phenomenal. And after game 1, Kadriel actually said on air that it felt like Rogue were copying Fnatic's homework and executing it exceptionally well. You talked about the meta read. Did you learn a lot from that series? Not only obviously from the defeat, but looking how Fnatic played and how the rest of the series have played out.
Wait, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, of course. Basically just trying to ask how much you learned from obviously the defeat to Fnatic, but learning about the meta, seeing what was good. You mentioned you didn't play Lucian. So how much did watching all of these other series help inform what is good in the meta and what Rogue should be playing like you did today?
What we noticed mostly was that we played too much scaling, right? We didn't play that much early game, and we just played the kind of the farming mid and the supportive jungler like Trundle, Sett, and these champs. So we kind of decided to play a more aggressive style, which you saw this week. So I think that was like the biggest thing we learned, that we just needed to play more aggressive style.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'm Lawson. I'm going to ask you to sit tight for a moment because we do have an extra interview lined up as Law will be checking with Mad Lion's coach.
Thank you, Quickshot. And thank you, Mac, for joining me after this series. Hi.
Hiya.
Any hot reaction about what didn't work out today, maybe?
I think it's a big mix of things. I mean, we're a very young squad, and I'm not very experienced as a head coach yet. So I think a lot of it is on me. I think generally there was a big kind of atmosphere of celebration and relaxation after we qualified for Worlds, right? And I think we got a little bit complacent, and I think our preparation probably wasn't good enough. I also think that we just played really badly today.
Okay.
Like we just had a lot of kind of slip ups that we wouldn't normally make, and the energy felt a bit off today.
Yes, it gives you things to work on preparing for Worlds. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but you got back-to-back coach of the split, and you had an amazing performance with a rookie squad. So don't blame yourself too much with this. You still reached Worlds in the end, and they will be playing for the first time for most of them actually, besides Humanoid. So talk me through the World prep, the upcoming World prep, and how they will be ready for the tournament.
World's prep is always really fun. There's so much to learn from other teams. So you really have to change your focus from being inward-looking to being very, very outward-looking and really spending as much time as you possibly can. We're obviously going to be going through the play-ins now as well, which means an even greater number of teams and regions that we then have to go and research. So I think we're going to have to be really disciplined with ourselves and really hit the road running when it comes to practice. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of extra factors as well going to China because there's kind of jet lag and things like that to deal with and a lot of logistical stuff. So I think it'll be challenging for sure.
How do you foresee things happening? Because I know it's going to be complex. You guys are going to have to go beforehand to be ready like for 2 weeks before the tournament happens. So how are you anticipating all this? Because that's new. You didn't have this last year at Worlds.
Definitely not. I think it's a huge challenge for players, especially in a young team like ours, because everyone's going to have to be so disciplined with themselves, you know. Like if you're kind of quarantining on your own, which we will be, it's so easy to slip up and I don't know, like not deal with the jet lag properly or not exercise properly. And obviously we're not going to be able to get much like sunlight and things like that. So it's going to be really, really tough to actually stay kind of disciplined and on top of things, I think, because yeah, we're not a very experienced team, but I think we've done a lot of kind of logistical preparation and planning in preparation for it, so fingers crossed it'll be okay.
Okay, that's very good to know. And you keep on mentioning the fact that you don't have a lot of experience, but I recall you were playing at Worlds last year and also in play-ins with Splice. So anything you learned back then that will help you maybe approach play-ins better this year?
That's a really tough question. I think in play-ins, normally the teams that like just play their style are doing the best, right? Like you commit to one style and play it really, really hard, and you kind of have to be willing to bet that the other teams aren't strong enough to be able to punish you super hard for it, which I think has been a weakness for us in the past, playing against really strong teams in Europe, right? Like last split against G2, today against Rogue. Like these teams innovated and adapted around our playstyle to be able to shut us down. And I think that the teams coming through from play-ins generally have less ability to do that.
All right, well, I wish you the best of luck at Worlds. I have no doubt you will make us all proud. And thank you very much, Mac, for the interview.
Thank you very much.
And back to you, Quickshot.
Thank you so much, Law and Mac. Absolutely fantastic interview, and I love the fact that straight out the gate, acknowledgement that leadership and maybe coaching could be to blame, as well as the fact the players didn't perform. Now, I committed to making this joke before I saw the interview, and it does feel a little bad. But now that we are done with the series, I took a screenshot of an absolutely incredible meme that I saw, and Kevin was unable to get me a graphic that would fit. So I made him zoom in on this. Kevin saying in my ear that it's my fault. Glad lion, sad lion, more like the kitty cats today. So we turned that one to screen. Thank you very much. Apologies for that very selfish moment. Let's go back to regularly scheduled viewing. Larson is still with us. Rogue have now secured this spot in the semi-final. You guys are going to face off against G2. You're also guaranteed to go to the World's group stage, which after winning the Summer Split was likely expected. So let's talk a little bit about both of these things. Let's go with Worlds first. What does it mean to you, Larson, to know that you get to watch play-ins, you get to see some of the other teams performing, learning some of the meta, and then you guys are going to be starting groups maybe against TSM?
I mean, it's very nice to be in the group stage because the playing stage starts kind of early, so you would not have that much time to prepare for Worlds actually, since you need to go to China and have the quarantine and everything. So playing starts really early, so it will be very hectic, and we wouldn't have that much time to prepare if we went to play-in. So it's really nice to get to learn the meta more. And yeah, I mean, being a group stage and playing all the best teams would be really fun, of course.
And of course, what are your expectations going to be for the Mad Lions? Them starting in play-ins. We know that there's a number of very strong teams that are going to be there. You know, are you Would you have preferred to be in play-ins to play those games, or is it easier and better to watch them and prepare backstage? And we talked about a little bit about this in Ready Check.
Usually, I think it's kind of better to be in play-ins actually, because you get to play a lot of stage games and to learn the meta. But since it's such a short amount of time you have to prepare before play-ins now, since it starts kind of early, I think, I prefer to be in group stage. But usually it's not that bad to play in play-ins, right? And I think Mad I'm not sure how hard it is to go for play-ins. I didn't really look at it. Is there like a lot of good teams, or?
They're still qualifying. So we've only got 14 or 15 teams qualified right now. A number of regional playoffs are still happening. So I can't say if it's going to be difficult. The thing that I would say is that if you lose games in group and you end up being the second seed, that then has to face a first seed from, one of the other groups, that could be where problems would arise. So, I'm not too certain what's going to be easier, but obviously the stage games, as you mentioned, the extra prep earlier. So there's pros and cons to it, right, Kedril?
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with Larson. I mean, if it was past years of Worlds, I would say play-ins could be useful because you have these rookies, you get them on the stage, you get the crowd, you get the hype, you can sort of feel the Worlds vibe, and the pressure eases on you a lot slower than if you're just thrown into group stage. But I think with the system this year, I think group stage is obviously better because there's a lot less hectic stuff going on. You can relax a bit more, take some more time off from now until World starts. And I think that's something that some of the teams may need if they have had a really long split.
Yeah, get some rest and recuperation. Let's turn our attention to next week, though. Obviously, we've got the finals coming up. Semi-final on Saturday, finals on Sunday. Before I go to Larson, Rogue versus G2. This is now the matchup. What do you think of Larson and Rogue's chances of taking down G2?
Look, Larson's one of my closest friends. And I'm saying this to him live, but unfortunately I think G2 is just such a good team. But if Rogue can show this form that they did today, and they can keep this sort of summer splits, all these best of ones consistency going, I think they have a pretty good chance, honestly. But I still think G2 is favored. I think it will be a G2 Fnatic final, but I hope Larson wins personally as a friend.
Larson, what do you think of your chances next weekend against G2?
If we play like this week, I'm kind of confident that we can win. I think we have good chances. We have never won against G2 though, which is something that people will say, right? And that it's kind of in our head a little bit, I think. But I think our chances are pretty decent. I think individually they're not performing that well. Besides their solo laners, I think rest of them are not performing as well as they usually are individually. So I think maybe we can exploit them on the individual level. And obviously they're the favorites, right? Which is fine. It's kind of nice being the underdogs anyway. And hopefully we can break the G2 Fnatic final thing.
Yeah, that would be nice. But Fnatic was 0-7 against G2 before they started their best of 5, right? So you never know, Rogue might take over.
Yeah, but the thing is, their solo laners are carrying, and I saw what Whippo did to Finn, right? So
yeah, it was,
that was a change. But also, like Finn today versus Fnatic, like it's completely different.
Yeah.
Larson, quick question before we start to move on: have you had a chance to watch many of the other like regional finals and players like LCK or LPL? And if the answer is yes, how do you think European teams will stack up against some of like the Asian regions that obviously have been so dominant for so long?
This is a really hard question for me, right? I've never played at Worlds, so I'm not really sure how good they are. And when you watch, I watch a bit of LPL and LCK. There's so many games, so it's really hard to watch all of the games. But I watch a bit of them, and in LPL, for example, it seems like they're just handshaking a lot of fights. So maybe if you don't handshake the fights, you can like win against them. And I'm honestly not sure. It's so hard for me to say how good they are. We just need to play there and then I'll see how good they are.
It's a really unfair question. I realize that. But when you look at the levels of LPL and LCK, from the few games that you have seen, fans at home, we theorize which region, which leagues look better. So if you were to say which regions look better, based on how they play within that region, is that something that you can say right now? Go LPL, LCK, LEC. We'll just focus on those three.
Then I would say LEC is the best. I think LEC can be the best actually, but usually coming into Worlds, the Western fans are usually underestimating LEC, I think. And since Asia is kind of hype, like you see the Chinese teams, you see the Korea teams, people will hype the Asian teams up a lot. But as we saw the past two Worlds, LEC has performed better than LCK, right? So I know a lot of people are saying that EU will kind of get stoned by Asia or something, but I don't think that will be the case. I think LEC will be very strong this year as well. So
yeah, I kind of agree with Larson, honestly. I think Europe is looking pretty strong. People just underestimate them. They see Knight and Caster and all this stuff popping off, and they're like, wow, the LPL looks amazing. But we've got some good teams too. I think we're going to do pretty well.
I think so too. I think we actually need to stop talking about this, because if we hype everyone up, then we can only get disappointed. Right?
True,
so I think
true. We're gonna do
as a
terrible.
fan here, I think being surprised, being the underdog, like Larson and Rogue just said, maybe can help us. Anyways, next Saturday, Rogue will take on G2 in that direct elimination match. They are fighting for a spot in the final. I'm not going to ask Larson this. I already have a prediction here, but I'm going to get a score line. You said you think G2 will win, right? Caps versus Larson. Talk to me about the laning phase, and then give me which team's going to win the score and the score.
I think it's just super even. I think both Larson and Caps are super strong. I think, obviously, Larson, who we've seen throughout the regular split, really prefers his control mages and getting advantages in lane and then just popping off in fights, whereas Caps sometimes likes to roam around the map. But I think if Larson has his good matchup, has the push, I think Larson will do super well against Caps. But I think it'll be pretty even overall. If in terms of scoreline, I think it would go to 5 games. I would favor G2 because they are the favorites, obviously, and they are the best team historically in Europe for the last couple of years. And they are known to step up in best of 5s. And I also feel like against Fnatic, they dropped the ball a bit. I think they'll take this one really, really seriously. So I would favor G2, but I think it could go to 5 games.
I really hope that it does go to 5 games. Larson, we're running out of time, so I would like to ask you, do you have any message that you'd love to say to the fans, to the Rogue supporters, maybe to some of the haters? I'll leave that to you for our closing thoughts.
I mean, I don't really care about the haters, right? It's just fun to prove them wrong today. But there were a lot of people who also supported us the past week after Fnatic loss. It's yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported us the past week, since we got a lot of hate, right? So yeah, I always say thank you for the people who supported us past week.
Larson, I would like to say thank you to you personally as well. Thank you for a fantastic performance today. Thank you for playing exceptionally well throughout 2020. And I expect to say thank you for your Worlds performance as well. Congratulations. I'll see you next Saturday. That's it from us here in Berlin. Be sure to tune into the LCS later tonight as Team Liquid and FlyQuest hit the Rift. We'll be back next Saturday for the last weekend of the LEC 2020 season. See you then.
See you.
Thank you for the carry, Kedril. It's good fun.
I'm known for carrying Dumas.
Humanoid with the stopwatch to keep himself alive. There's the arrow hits on Summer. Banda takes the kill.
Here comes Inspired.
And here comes Inspired. And there goes Kazi. Kaiser down for the double kill for the push, but you can see it's already down to 4,000 HP and they go in. The engage with an unstoppable onslaught. The damage coming out of Rome's gonna go down. Dawning Shadow, not quite enough, but he ticks booms as Larson takes the kill. Kaiser's second on the menu and Rogue. Inspired still trying to step forward. Humanoid almost goes down and Kaiser's low as well. And here comes the charge. Rogue sense it. They smell blood in the water. They take 2 and they will look to close out the game. Humanoid's going in. He has the flank. He has the gold card. He locks it straight onto Vander. Minions are pushing the Nexus. Ooh, Larson! The top mid laner statistically in the regular season. And you thought for a moment Mad Lions had a chance, but Larson slammed the door right in their face.
T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Lift off of Space Shuttle Alliance. Mission to build, resupply, and to do research.
Yes,